Which camera am I looking at, guys? This
Whichever one you want.
I like
that
this.
one. Yeah, that one's probably
my
best.
friend.
That one's probably more you.
Yeah, it's more of a spade. Welcome to the first episode of Banter, the new podcast we're doing.
Take your hand away from your mouth.
I can't. It's because I don't have a mouth. I don't want people to realise. Welcome to Banter with me, Paddy Murphy, and
me, Barry Fahey.
We are here today to talk to some funky Badgers. But before that, I just want to do a couple of quick kind of shout outs. First of all, I'd like to just say a huge congratulations to the guys at Savage Beast Films who smashed through their Kickstarter today. They were looking for 40,000 to make their film Harvest Moon, and they ended up with over 42,000. And it looks awesome. It's got Robert Englund, who played Freddy, in it. It's got Lance Henriksen. It's got a killer cast, and I was quite shocked in some ways that it took as long to get funded as it did, but as per usual, everyone rallied together towards the end, and it got there in the last day and a half, which was awesome. So huge congratulations to those guys. Secondly, I just wanted to talk about our buddy in the UK, the one who also covers his mouth, but he doesn't because his mouth is his moneymaker. But
Mr. Nicholas Vince.
That's the guy. Nick, who is a friend of the Badgers, and who also he worked with us in 2 shorts at the start of June, and he worked with us in Retribution, and he's also been in a little film called Hellraiser. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, and
not many people have heard of it, I don't think.
No, not like it's its 30th anniversary or anything.
No, it's but just in case you've heard of this Hellraiser film,
just in case you haven't, he was also in a film called Hellbound.
True, and Nightbreed. Nick is going to be at a bunch of events over the next month and a bit. So he's going to be at Monster Mania Con, which is somewhere in the US. I love that that's quite definite. Like somewhere in the United States, you have to find out. You have to go looking for
They're not paying us for exact location.
Between September 29th and October 1st, he's going to be at Celluloid Screams, and I know where that is. It's in Sheffield, in the UK, from the 20th to the 22nd of October, and he's going to be at Famous Monsters, which is also somewhere in the United States, from the 27th to the 29th, and he's going to be there with all his Hellraiser buddies, which is fun. And lastly, we wanted to give a shout out to our good other buddy in Canada, who has a small dog that's a Pomeranian.
I'm gonna assume it's Gigi.
That's the one.
I really held back from saying Nacho just for the crack.
Yeah. So you wanted to say fair play to Gigi.
Yeah, big shout out to Gigi on her being the star of the new comic book series, which name I can't remember right now.
But it's got Tristan Risk and Ellie Church in it too.
They also cameo in it, which is pretty fucking massive. So. Yeah.
It's like 3 pretty cool horror badass females coming together in a crazy looking comic. And then also for Gigi, huge shout out because her most recent film that she directed, Bestia, which I was lucky enough to see in February when I was over.
So jealous.
With them. It's an awesome horror short. It's like 6 minutes, but it's just 6 minutes of pure adrenaline. And that's getting into a lot of festivals. So if you check out Lucha Gore Productions page, you can stay up to date with that stuff. And if that short is hitting anywhere near you, check it out. And also buy comics. Specifically that comic. So yeah, now that we have those shout outs out of the way, we can introduce our guests.
Across from me, we have one of the notorious Badgers, Mr. Brian O'Regan.
Hello, everybody.
And across from me, we have another wondrous Badger. Definitely like the bloody Badger, I think is the perfect term. Miss Bekki Tubridy.
Howdy.
Sup, bro.
Sup, bro.
So yeah, thanks to you guys for being our first guests on the show.
Anytime.
It's all experimental, so these things will probably take time. We'll probably mess up lots, and it'll be up to we'll birdman it. We'll put in as little cuts as we can, but they'll be very well hidden, and it'll be up to the audience to determine how much is actually cut out.
one of the
Most
things
of my stuff.
The parts where I'm just puking.
we had to cut every time Becky puked mid. She just kept leaning off camera and puking.
When someone says casserole or bird nest, I just have to puke. It just happens. Oh shit.
Interesting. You've just unveiled your weakness.
No.
Have you now? One of the things I've noticed from listening to some other podcasts is like one of the biggest issues for a lot of the guys doing the show is constantly saying so I've been trying so hard.
I'm atrocious for that, so but at the end of the day I'm editing, so I'm probably not going to take it out. I'm not going to care enough.
Yeah, whatever. So yeah, I'm gonna launch into just you guys feel free to chime in on this as well. Basically just want to talk about like kind of like top picks of the week for me and you in terms of like anything you might have watched this week, listened to. For me it's a game, it's called Conga Party Master on the Nintendo Switch and I'm hooked on it. It's Imagine Snake, like the game Snake, but instead you're trying to build a conga line in a nightclub.
Majestic.
Every Saturday night Nikon.
And because it's on the Switch, it's that joy of like, you can play it sitting in your sitting room with multiple players playing on the little tiny controllers.
And is it like a 3D game or is it?
It's kind of 2D pixel art style.
Oh really? Awesome.
But it's apparently got a story. There's like the top option is story mode, and I've gone into that. And when you go in, it just says the name of the nightclub, and then you're in doing your conga dance, going around, and you basically what you have to do is you have to circle around people doing your conga dance.
It started out with a nagging.
There's no good story starts with a glass of milk.
That's true.
Yeah, that's been a lot of fun. So that will be my pick of the week that I've been enjoying a hell of a lot. So Baz?
I don't think I've actually watched anything this week. It's just been one of those weeks like going back and forth and stuff like that. But the last thing that I actually sat down to watch was I can't remember. Someone else go again and come
It
back.
must have been very good.
Bex, any picks of the week? Anything you've been watching, reading, listening?
Well, the most amazing thing that I think I've done this week would be probably play Life is Strange Before the Storm.
The new one, the prequel. How is it?
It's beautiful.
Oh, I want to play it so bad.
It's so amazing. They got Chloe down to a T. Because a lot of people were really worried about the fact that her voice changed. A lot of actors, because of the strike and everything there, couldn't appear in it. But to be honest, I think nearly every single voice actor inside there did amazing justice to it. They really captured. There's one scene, I won't spoil it, of course, for everyone, but it's one scene where I broke down crying because it was so powerful, and I thought it was brilliant. And plus, the ending, people are kind of like theorizing right now what the ending is, but it's just it seems like the story is going to be much bigger.
Oh, cool.
Than what initially was planned for the first season. But I think a lot of things kind of might be explained if the theories are right. So hopefully, anyway. But
it's so ambiguous. I love it.
It's so amazing.
I mean, it's still new. You have to be cautious.
I know,
yeah. Because I really don't want to spoil for anyone because it just came out there like what, end of August? Was it? Yeah, just
I didn't
the end of
even
August.
to put it bluntly, because I've been so detached from video game stuff lately. I didn't even realize it was out yet.
Which is funny because you've been more immersed in video game stuff in the last couple of months.
Development-wise,
Yeah,
yeah.
I know, but it's funny to say that you're also now better.
I've been trying really hard to play
Working,
more
not
games.
enjoying.
But one thing is that I think it was you that actually put me onto the first Life is Strange.
We were talking about it, yeah.
Everyone had been raving about it, and I was like, okay, you know that thing where when so many people tell you to check something out that you're like, I actually don't want to know.
Yeah.
Put me off this.
You get sick of it, like.
And I didn't play it for ages, and then we were on set at the Don'ts or something, and you were like, oh, you've got to play it. Like, this was after it all died back, and I was like, okay. Everyone else has said this, but then Bex has said it, and I trust Bex as an individual, so I'm going to check this out. And then she stabbed me in the ribs.
Yeah.
I did.
Once
I felt that was over the top. I mean, a post-it note probably would have done as a reminder.
Or perhaps she didn't go far enough.
I was actually had a post-it note stuck in it. I was like, oh, what?
Inside.
Play Life is Strange.
Good to cover all your bases,
Yeah.
I guess.
And Brian?
Mine technically isn't this week, but last week
Right.
I went to see with all you guys, of course, is It. Which you know, it's a fantastic, massive fucking topic of debate at the moment. Like,
Yeah.
for me, I hadn't seen, heard, read anything about it or the original it, huh? No pun intended. But yeah, fucking, I hadn't read the book or seen the TV show or anything, so I went into it completely blind. Didn't look at the trailers or anything.
I remember you being so cautious about that. We'd be like raving about the trailers. You're like, no, shut
up!
I don't want to see any of the trailers. And it's weird, I'm getting that way with certain other things myself now.
But
Mikey was like, oh, you have to watch the Rick and Morty trailer. And I was like, I don't want to. I just want to go into the next episode clean.
Yeah.
I did this.
But I think that's kind of the thing nowadays with movies anyway, like even Star Wars now, The Return of the Jedi or whatever it's called. The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
I've just not watched any trailers for it. Same with Thor. I watched the last one and didn't watch anything again because they just show like most of the movie. I made that mistake with Spider-Man, like.
Oh yeah, it's funny because I still haven't seen Homecoming yet. But I feel like I have because I watched the other trailers.
Yes.
And so when people are talking about it, they're like, oh, probably spoiling this film. Like, that was in the trailer.
Yeah.
But the greatest, just on Homecoming, the greatest moment is not in that trailer at all, and it's just Michael Keaton and Tom Holland.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It is the fucking greatest.
It's
scene.
one of the most menacing scenes in the whole MCU, I think.
It's probably one of the best scenes of acting in the whole MCU to this point. It's just phenomenal.
Do you know because this is a detached of infant stuff. Do you know when is Homecoming out on Blu-ray? Is it
Not yet.
Not
no,
yet,
it's November.
I think. Yeah.
November, I think, is the release date.
So kind of tied
Guardians
with Thor
just came
coming
out
out
lately, like. So.
Yeah. Because I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna. I feel bad that I didn't get to go see it in the cinema, but I was, as you know, I was swamped with stuff.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to see it, but yeah, I'll check it out. I did that with Doctor Strange, and then I ended up really enjoying Doctor Strange because yet again I saw it after a lot of the big buzz had been around it.
I didn't enjoy that as much as a lot of people like Doctor Strange.
Very I like the standalones.
Cut and paste. I thought.
I loved it.
It's Tony Stark on drugs, like. To me, like.
But isn't that just Tony Stark?
Well, that's true.
Tony Stark on drugs, aka Tony Stark.
Magic mushrooms, so.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know the difference.
It's one of those things, though. I mean, that's with the MCU the way it always is that everyone has characters they like, dislike, movies they like, dislike.
Kind of something for everyone, like.
Yeah, and it's funny because I've been feeling a little bit of Marvel fatigue lately. Like Defenders came out, and I thought I would be the first person to jump on that and watch all the episodes, like binge watch them, because I've done that with all the other Marvel Netflix shows, including Iron Fist, and I didn't. I just was like, I'll watch it at some point.
It's funny because I was exactly the opposite. Like when Iron Fist came out, it was like, ugh, really? It's like I don't know if I want to commit to another 13 hours of this, and like the first episode was really good, and then it kind of started to like become more of a chore to watch, and then by the time Defenders came back I was like, I'm hyped for this because the end of Iron Fist was so good. It was like it built me up to like, yes, I want to see more.
Yeah, although Scott Buck, like, he hasn't done a very good job of show running. We talked about that.
Yeah, we did the other day.
Yeah.
Like he fucked up Dexter, like.
That's
it's an
true.
amazing show, like. I loved it, so I hate him for that.
But isn't it weird, like that, right? I thought I'd be super hyped about Defenders and be like, I need to watch this now, and I haven't, and I probably will really enjoy it when I actually get around to watching it. But one that's really blown me away is that like I spent the last 20 odd years. I remember seeing Twin Peaks when I was a kid, and it would like made a lasting impact on me, which resounds to this day. And when it was announced that there's a season 3, I was like, oh my god, yes! And then like I watched the first episode, and it wasn't that it was bad. I didn't come out of it going like, oh, I don't want to watch any more of this. I just was kind of like, okay, like it wasn't bad. I just wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
And everyone's telling me, no, you got to get all the way through. Like by the end, you'll be like, oh, this was so worthwhile. And I'm like you just said, I'm like, but that's 18 hours.
Yeah.
That's almost a full day. Like. I'm like, I don't know if I can commit that to something, not knowing if I will really come out the other side that enthused.
Yeah.
Well, that's the controversial part of like TV that I watch. It's like everyone's like, oh, did you see the latest Game of Thrones? It's like, I haven't seen a single episode of Game of Thrones.
But you see that people are starting to turn that into a joke now.
Yeah.
That they're like, oh, the new hipster thing is to be like, I haven't watched Game of Thrones.
Yeah, well, I mean, I haven't done it for the sake of like I don't want to watch Game of Thrones. It's just like that. I'm like, yeah, it's what, like 10 episodes a season.
it's some cases longer,
Yeah,
right?
no, it's 10, and
Is it?
the last season was only 7, but they're actually longer episodes.
Oh, okay.
So they just finished season 7, right?
Yeah.
So that's at a minimum like 67 hours.
Yeah.
That's damn 67 hours of your life.
I know.
I tried to give the first season a go, and I just couldn't.
I
Couldn't
got
get into it.
up to end of season 4, and then me and Kathy, we were living in Malta at the time, and she went back home, and she was like, "Don't watch on in Game of Thrones without me." I was like, "Okay," and then I didn't, and then now we've let that go since end of 2013, so we're like 4 seasons behind, and I'm like, can we just try? Because every season we let it go, we're going into that zone where we're falling so far behind that it's becoming almost impossible task.
Yeah.
I was like that as well, though. I didn't actually start watching it until season 4, at the end of season 4, and then I got all the rest of them and blazed through in about a week.
It's one of those things, though. I don't know, for a lot of us that do all these things, these creative pursuits and stuff, it can be very hard to actually dedicate time to enjoying creative stuff where other people have made creative things.
Speak for yourself. I'm a hermit.
That's true. You played Persona 5. Screw you.
Because like me and Patchen usually like watch stuff together, because like it's one of the few things that we like do together. We just chill out and we watch stuff, and like that, because she's already watched the first 6 seasons, I'm like, to get up to the point where we can watch stuff together is like I have to dedicate like a good 60 hours just to catch up to where you are to watch the last season together. It's like, I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah, maybe just watch it yourself.
She can do it. I've watched it twice.
You watched it twice.
Oh dear.
You want to give me the Cliff Notes version?
No.
Yeah, but going back to what I did actually see, we watched Ghost in the Shell the other night with Scarlett Johansson. Yeah, it was actually quite good. Like now it had been years since I'd seen
the anime,
and I, to be honest, barely remembered it. But I really enjoyed it, and they did a really nice, because you know the whole controversy with Scarlett Johansson and whitewashing and all that. They did it really well, where they kind of referenced Motoko later on.
Oh, okay.
Which I thought was really nice and really well done.
But do you think that sometimes that the stuff like the whitewashing stuff, right now, this is gonna get super controversial, super quick. Crap.
What better way to open our series?
Yeah, why not?
Push that boat out.
But do you ever think that the whitewashing stuff happens without any context?
Yeah.
Like, as in, it's like, oh, they've cast Scarlett Johansson, therefore this is completely whitewashing. Without seeing the film and reason, there might be a reason or a purpose.
And to be honest, there is. Like, the way that they've handled this, I thought anyway, personally, was really clever. That, like, I don't want to ruin it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was really well handled in that sense.
I guess it just makes it sometimes, I guess, because the fact, like they say in Hollywood and everything there, it's much harder to be cast as an Asian character or something like that, because you're usually typecasted. So I think that's one thing there. So I think it's very kind of fragile thing there, because there's been so much kind of typecasting when it comes to certain characters. Like the white character can just play any character.
Yeah. So
I think it's happening so often, that's where the kind of the anger comes from. So it's just automatic, kind of like, oh, it's happening again. So I kind of see it from the other side as well.
Oh yeah,
why
100%.
I'm not at all denying like the whitewashing exists.
Oh no, that's what you are. Just like,
and that
things
like
for the reason.
it is hard for Asian characters to get roles. I just thought, like, it goes back to the thing you were saying about Mother, that like,
with the whole fact that people were like, oh, she's so much younger than him, this is ridiculous, that would never happen.
But you were like, well, what if that is like a story element?
Yeah.
And like, technically, the way that it's handled in Ghost in the Shell, it is a story element.
Okay.
But
so
I think it's like the Game of Thrones thing about people not watching it. It's people will just jump on any fucking bandwagon nowadays. And you just say, he can't be that person, or
I guess people feel
it's like Batman can't be black or fucking Asian or whatever, do you know? It's kind of the same thing. People will just get outraged for anything these days. And
it's one of those things though where I totally see where Bex is coming from as well, in the sense that, or like what you're articulating, that like I heard Joe Lynch tell a story about his film Mayhem at Frightfest, that he walked into the room where they had the casting sheet for the lead role of the character of Derek, and it was all white guys, and Joe Lynch was like, can I have Stephen Yeun? Like, and they're like, he's not on the list, and he's like, yeah, but these are all the same guy, effectively.
Yeah.
He's like Stephen Yeun is like the modern day Richard Dreyfuss. He's like an everyman.
Yeah.
People can just associate with him, and he's like, I don't want these white guys. I want Stephen Yeun, and he said he had to really push at first to get that idea of the idea that it would be anything other than a white lead character.
Yeah.
So I do see that there is definitely two sides to every story.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
But it's all about context as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as well. It's,
Like you watched Death Note.
I watched the new Death Note, yeah.
And what were your thoughts? That's an interesting one I want to hear about.
There's some parts, like I said, I love gore, so I did like that. But
I'm just going to apologize for the rain.
oh yes,
It is
see, I don't know what do I talk about it
noisy.
in a way that we've all seen it, or talk about it in a way kind of keeping spoilers, or
I've seen it.
Yeah, kind of skirt around it because I haven't seen either.
okay.
So I've been told that the best thing to do is to watch the current Netflix one and then watch.
I would agree.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm going to do next.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
seen
Because
the
I'm
Netflix
actually
one.
rewatching
So-
the series now, so
Ah, cool.
yeah, I thought it was good. They changed a lot of the characters. Some was interesting. Like one or two characters, their change was very, very interesting. But the main character, I couldn't associate with him because I just felt like I was put back into 2004, like those kind of films.
Him to be listening to like new metal albums.
Yes, yeah, like completely. Like I remember at one point, like this isn't like a big thing there, but it's just like he had a poster or something like that in his locker that said "Normal people scare me," and I was just looking there. I was like, "Oh God, my emo days are coming back. They're coming back." So it was just, to be honest though, because I was cringing at a lot of things he did that I did. I'm not a sociopath that kills people too much.
If
but
you got a Death Note, you would be honest. No consequence.
It would be amazing.
Right the name.
yeah, it would be brilliant. But
I'm going to
yeah.
be here a while.
Just a lot of things kind of like they changed that I wasn't entirely in favor of. But I would say if you take it away from Death Note, if you actually take it away from the main Death Note series, it's a grand film on its own. Like there's some hitches here and there, but it's actually a grand film on its own as well. It's just I think it's just the comparison, because if you're a big fan of Death Note, you're going to think the movie's crap, because you're going to think anything that derives away from Death Note is going to be crap. So
It's one of those ones where I read an interview with Adam Wingard, the director, last week, where he said that like before he had even rolled cameras on the film, like when it basically came out, Adam Wingard is directing an adaptation of Death Note. He got death threats, like you've already ruined the film, and he's like, I haven't even started shooting the film yet. And he was like, people were immediately incensed at the idea that anyone would. And he was like, no matter what I do, whether I make this a complete direct adaptation of the anime or whether I stray away from it, it's just going to be met with anger.
Damned if you do,
Like,
damned if you don't, kind
Yeah,
of thing.
it goes back to that whole thing with Ron Perlman and Hellboy.
Hellboy,
yeah.
Everyone was freaking out. It was like, now I know the controversy is that they didn't ask Ron Perlman to do it, but like everyone was like, no one else can be Hellboy. It's like it has to be Ron Perlman, and then I can't remember his name.
David
David
Harbour.
Harbour. That photo came out and everyone was like, fuck me, he looks awesome. I was like, there you go.
There you go, yeah.
And then, as I said to you, something that slightly irritates me about the internet and stuff is it came out with that picture and everybody lost their minds. Everybody was sharing it, going, this looks unbelievable, oh my God, he looks so cool, oh my God. And then one site, it might have been Dread Central or something, posted an article saying, oh, he just looks like Ron Perlman though. And then literally everyone who had seen on my feed, I know you always live in a bubble on Facebook,
Yeah.
but everyone on my feed who had been going, oh, he looks so cool, came back after this one article came out going, he does just kind of look like
Yeah.
Ron Perlman though.
it's
The
cheap
whole
mentality.
piggybacking thing, like, isn't
And I'm
it?
like, he doesn't look like Ron Perlman, he looks like fucking Hellboy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, and guess what? Ron Perlman looked like fucking Hellboy too.
Yeah.
Surprise. I was like, Ron Perlman didn't have a mullet though.
Yeah.
I do
You
like
can't
the longer
change
hair.
that
The
design
mullet
much,
is
like.
badass.
Love it.
I like David Harbour. When I watched Stranger Things, I think he was the best thing about the show for me.
Yeah.
And look, everyone goes straight to the kids, and they're brilliant. Do
Yeah.
not get me wrong. And Winona Ryder was great, and they were all really good. But David Harbour had, I think, the hardest part in that show. Because the kids get to be comic relief, and they get to be the ones that really are, scared of this stuff, and Winona Ryder she had a very
She be
emotional
emotional.
part.
He could be very easily a throwaway character, like.
Yeah, his character was literally, he could just be the sheriff, like, and
Yeah.
nobody
Yeah.
cares about him, and what does he do, and but he, for me, was like the central character, like you discovered things through his discovering.
Yeah.
And so I loved it. When I saw he was going to be Hellboy, I was like, even before I saw that image, I was like, yes, that guy's awesome.
Yeah.
Could make good cable too.
Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin, fuck me. I like, as soon as those images came out, I'm like, yes.
I'm here. I'm in my fantasy place.
Let's just see him kick Deadpool around the place for a while. It'd be fucking amazing.
Poor little buttercup, poor little
Whoa,
buttercup.
Are we gonna get flagged for copyright?
No, it's grand. It's Madame Butterfly or something, right? So
I take that
just because we're getting into a lot of this stuff, I'm gonna jump on and just ask one or two questions. Then we'll more than likely fall back out into like tangents and go off into the ether somewhere.
Which is fine.
So first of all, I'd like to just ask Brian.
Ooh. I'm scared now.
Brian, like, I know you as maybe not everybody who would see the podcast might know, but like you're a writer, a director, an actor, many other things. Ball bag.
Fucking good.
No, you're a writer, director, actor. You've done a bunch of things. But I'd love to just know, like, when do you think you decided that was something you wanted to do? That was something you wanted to pursue?
Like, for me, like, I was never very athletic or whatever, like, so I was always inside playing video games, watching TV, blah, 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 blah. And about maybe 6 years ago, I was kind of lost, and when I was lost, I wandered into this class in Perry Square, an acting class. And I thought, what's the harm? Like, might be shit, might love it, might whatever. And since then, I'm here. I loved it from the second I started it, and into Nigel Mercier's class, found a new myself basically, because awesome. I was very quiet and withdrawn and stuff like. But
sounds like kind of like a really life affirming moment. Like.
Yeah, changed me massively. Like, and I think that people who know me best will agree with that.
Yeah.
Because now, like, I don't care. Don't give a shit about anything.
You have no filter at all.
Is that like from the acting that like you just kind of
massive confidence boost? I think it was.
Cool.
But then through, like, the writing thing was always with me, because when I was 16, I like wrote this 30-page like Terminator kind of sci-fi thing, and got to a certain stage and I was like, I don't like it, fucked it away. Never wrote again. Yeah.
Welcome to the creative.
At least you didn't have 10 producers standing over you going, change this, change that, change that.
But yeah, then when I started acting, and like stuff in Limerick is pretty thin on the ground, as you know yourself, and Nigel Mercier always encouraged students to, if you can't get it, make it.
Yeah.
So I started writing again, and came across filmmakers, and eventually stumbled into you motherfuckers.
And I'm so glad you did.
Yeah. But, it's been beautiful ever since.
It truly has. Yeah.
It's a crazy, scary journey.
And then you kind of you directed your first. Well, you've directed stuff before.
Well, mostly I wrote stuff and handed it over and said, "You direct me whilst I'll act," because I don't do that kind of shit.
Yeah.
But working with you guys, it's taught me so much behind the camera that when I did have a good enough shot in my own head, I thought, fuck it, I'll give it a go and see what it's like.
Cool. And so, what kind of projects have you done to date?
Directed, like?
Yeah.
Well, my first one was it before or after? No, Passenger Zero. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was my first direction short film, and I had the lovely Mr. Murphy here as my lead, and it was horrifying, terrifying, backbreaking, sweaty, bloody, awesome experience. It was like when the final shot rolled, I literally walked outside the back and laid down the gun and said, "Kill me." Yeah, but it was fucking amazing.
It was
like, I'm not gonna lie, it's like, you know, and you know as well, like, directing something is a monster task. Like, it's not just something you turn up and go, the camera goes there, let's go. It's no, there's so much more behind it. Like, you're planning for weeks, sometimes months in advance. Like,
yep.
And even when you think you've everything planned, something will kick you right in the balls just as you're about to start.
Pretty much, yeah. Like, I mean...
And that's just shooting, like, there's all the post as well, which is...
Yeah, and I'd be the same as you. Like, I have directed a couple of short films. I can't imagine what it's like to direct and be over a feature. So, but then again, I've seen you go through most of it. Be that the highs, the lows.
I'd imagine that's elongated torture.
It's kind of like Hellraiser. You know, there's a scene at the start of Hellraiser where Frank, one of the main characters, right at the very beginning, is being pulled apart by all these hooks and chains. But apparently, it's
pleasure.
his whole thing is pain and pleasure together. That moment is what it's like directing a feature. Everything is pulling you into pieces, but you're kind of loving it.
So
For 2 years.
Making is technically BDSM.
Effectively, yeah.
Okay.
That's why we had a BDSM drawer in our old office.
We need one here.
We do actually.
We do not.
So
It's all work and no play.
But I would say, like, when all of that is done and you see the film, you're just like, okay, take that fucking thing away from me. I don't ever want to see it again. But no, there is a feeling like of accomplishment, achievement, whatever.
Yeah, it's
to it, and you just want to do it again. Then, like,
it's kind of like
you're like, why do I want to do it again?
It's definitely a wave. You definitely go through moments of like, oh my god, what have I done?
It's like a relationship, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Like, I
You
keep
go
going
from
back
hating to
to
loving the person, or to kill him to love him. Yeah.
I keep going back to Please Forgive Me, like doing that, and like at the time that was a pretty ambitious short for me. I wanted to do it all in one take, so I got a lighting team on board so that we could make sure all the lights were hidden and stuff like that, so that there was nothing obvious in shot, and we could shoot a full 360 of the room. But it was like, I remember writing it and being super excited about it, and I sent the script to Ellie, and she was like, let me just fix this. And she like essentially wrote a whole new script and sent it back to me, and I was like, this is better, but I like a lot of stuff from here. It's like, can we like mix them together? And it was like, yeah. So then I was excited again. And then we tried to find actors, and thankfully Fiach introduced me to Lisa, which was really cool. And then I put out a casting call for the other one, and I got
I answered, but I couldn't come.
Yeah, you actually couldn't make it.
Way.
I remember,
never knew
yeah.
that.
I
never knew that about you guys.
Yeah. I remember I was like, oh, Brian would be really cool in this, and then you weren't available that weekend because that was the only weekend I was able to shoot.
So that was 2 shorts where you guys were meant to work together pre-CBM.
That's true, yeah.
I should have went up to you that day.
Yeah.
Let's say about that the better.
But yeah, and then like doing all the rehearsals and stuff like that, it was like, what have I fucking done? This is a mammoth task, and then because it was for the My Road reel, it had to be under the 3-minute mark. So we did our first rehearsal. It was like, oh, that felt really good. I'm really happy with all that.
Was it 7.5 minutes?
Yeah, it was like 6.5 minutes. I'm like, how do we lose half of that and still make it work? So there was a couple of like, I'd love to put out actually an uncut version at some stage where it's
awesome.
like you see like some of the original takes where the room that she goes into just by the door, and it just like peers in the corner and goes back just before you see the sitter for the first time. That was like a whole...
Went in and followed.
Yeah, I went in and I did a full 360 of the room to show that there was nothing in there.
Oh, cool.
And
I'd like to see that version actually.
And originally the voiceover that's on the radio at the start, that was going to be a TV broadcast. So the TV was supposed to flip on in the other room.
Okay, and then that was meant to play.
Yeah. So
I'd love to see some of the other takes.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to go
Standalone DVD release.
And
copyright.
Yeah, and then I remember when we got started to get down to that 3 minutes, I got really excited again, and we were supposed to do like a whole day of rehearsal and then shoot the following day, but because everyone was so hyped on it, they were like, yeah, let's keep going. And it was really cool. So when we finished that night, everyone headed home the following morning, which was really cool. And then like that, once I started, because I didn't have any editing to do, I didn't.
Oh yeah, because it's a one take.
Because it was one take, I felt like I didn't have the control I normally had in post to speed stuff up and slow stuff down and pace things.
Yeah.
And I remember being really frustrated and just kind of going, I like it, but it could have been so much better.
I think even when you make something and like other people are blown away by it, you'll always, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
it'll never be finished in your head.
I cannot think of a single thing of like the video games I've been involved with, the films I've been involved with, the stories, whatever, that I'm like 1000%. This is exactly what I wanted. Like, there's always compromise. There's always a little bit, and I think if you get to the point where you're happy with the compromise, that's the best you can hope for. Like,
that's where you lose your sanity.
Yeah, that's true.
Hashtag egomaniac.
Egomaniac. That's all. The only reason I said that was to say compromise.
I knew where we were going.
But kind of, we kind of introduced Brian there, kind of talked a little bit about what you've done and stuff. So I'd like to just kind of, Bekki, you like to do violent things.
Yes, all the time.
And you're a makeup artist.
Oh, yeah, that too. Can we go back to the violent conversation?
Just for me, it's just definitely, as somebody that's also really into special makeup effects and gore and violence and bloody stuff, like, what was there a moment where you were like, oh my god, I just want to like mess people up?
Well, for most of my childhood and up until my mid-teens, in my mid-teens I really liked gory films, but I was terrified of any paranormal horror. Like, I could not even sit down and watch a gory film or a paranormal horror. For most of my childhood, they terrified me. Like, if I ever was hanging out with my friends, I would pretend to be asleep. Now you guys know. I would pretend to be asleep. Or I would just like try to leave the room and constantly go to the bathroom and everything there. But then for a while I tried out like doing fashion and some like art in general and everything there. I did some courses with that. And I liked it, but it wasn't something that I would ever class as like something I wanted to have a career with. And then at one point, Stephen, my brother, ended up asking me could I actually help out with
I find it so weird hearing it be called Stephen. It's
Yeah.
right off as
Stephen.
Yeah,
I'm just so not used to it. That's all it is.
Stephonia. Stephonia.
Stephen.
But like he decided to ask me to help out because I had a little interest in doing. I loved Halloween and everything there. Wow.
Oh,
It's getting impressive.
is that the bats?
Do you think we can denoise that?
That's quite loud.
Yeah, that is very loud.
Welcome to Ireland.
It's only a little bit. It'll be fine.
It's getting quieter. Okay, but
We got this.
Yeah, we got
All
this.
good.
Well, yeah, I've always had an interest.
Wow.
It's like it just was like, shut up, take it.
Fuck you.
Is that just the fucking noise of the rain in places?
No, this is you.
No, yeah. But even the fact that there is quite a bit of jitter on
Speak
it.
again.
Okay, so
Wait,
that was the.
I have a feeling it's doing that lull and attack thing.
It's actually waiting for Bekki to start talking again.
Perfect.
It's like earlier
Okay.
though, right? When I came back from the shop, I said to like I walked in, I looked at Bez, and there was no sound involved.
Yeah.
And then I was like, it's drizzling outside, and as I say, it just started bucketing out of the heavens.
Well, you know what? I pray to the goddess. Why, Mother Nature?
What was our on the three don'ts? Me and Bekki had an anti. We looked up an
African dwarf goat.
African pygmy goat, rain chant.
Yes. Rain.
Rain, go away.
So, but like you go on the store here, all the way here for the rain.
Should probably give it a sec.
Yeah, no worries there. Her name is Lola and she dances on the sand.
Noisy.
Yeah.
It's a wee bit noisy. I suppose for future reference, we should probably do it in the front room.
Yeah.
It's not near as loud out there.
What are we, 40 minutes in?
Around that, yeah.
I can't tell this is in bars.
I'm wondering, like, my fear is that it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop. I can't handle this. It'd be amazing if midway through the podcast, though, it was just like somebody was watching it, and next thing it's just suddenly we're in a different location.
I was thinking the very same thing. Welcome back to part 2.
No, it's like we're like, yeah, we did that podcast all in one take.
Did
No
anyone
cuts.
sneeze? Can we use that as a cut point?
Plenty of people have coughed, so if we just did that, it was just like boom.
Okay, since we're
in the
late
other
enough,
room.
Okay, it's probably at a
It
more.
seems to be dying off, so...
But,
Until Becky speaks.
yeah. Oh yeah, when I speak again, I'll start up. But no, I loved Halloween and everything there. I loved dressing myself up. I loved just character creation and everything there since I was a kid. That part of like all the horror stuff or just like to the monsters and everything there, I loved. But anyway, yeah, Stephonia asked me to help out with a friend of his for makeup for a film. And yeah, when I was freezing cold at 2 o'clock in the morning underneath a tunnel, I realized then this is the life for me.
That was Rygo, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drago. And yeah, since then I fell in love with it. I took a break then from it because like I didn't know how to get into it.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know what way to go about it because I had an interest in it, but it was one of those things where it's like, you know, is the interest big enough for me to push with it, and where do I go? Because I didn't really know anyone who did special effects.
Yeah.
And then yeah, Brian Clancy came along then asking me what I did to help out with the Three Don'ts, and since then I got to meet all you guys, and I have had a couple of mental breakdowns since then, and it's been wonderful. It's been so good, so good. But yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, it's weird though, Rygo was not that long ago. 2013?
Around 2014.
Yeah, would have been one of the first shorts I did as well.
Yeah,
that's
but 3 years
crazy.
ago,
It's
yeah.
weird that we've all kind of nearly crossed paths.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so many different things. I think one thing I found was that when me and you started working together and stuff, because we both, as I say, have that love, or that shared love of viscera, gore, and nasty things, that like, I don't know, I feel like working with you has always made people like, what can I try and get Bex to do next?
Yes.
So we've gone from like just like Banshee monsters to things that we're doing in the next short,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
which are actually drying off camera, so we're
Hopefully soon.
And then for hopefully my next feature, like I've got Bex, we're scaling this up even again. It's fucking disgusting.
I think it's because the weirder it is, the more I'm interested. So it's like that's yeah, literally it. The more that it's
That's why she works so well with the Badgers.
yeah, that's it. The weirder it is,
The weirder we are.
because I had these conversations with myself in my own head, alone, all the time, and it's just good to share with people sometimes. It's like
It's
I think we've all done that.
it's
Too
funny
many
though,
times.
because for me one of my best gauges on like an idea I have for stuff is Baz, because if I say something and I'm like, I say it and then Baz goes, what is wrong with you? I'm like, yes, yes, I'm going the right way with this.
Yes.
Yeah, it's great. He's literally my gauge on the audience. Like, it's like, because you don't normally watch a lot of like horror stuff.
No, not normally.
You like Saw.
I do like
Yeah.
horror, but not like it's not something I'd sit down and I'm like, oh, I'm really excited to watch a horror. It was like, I feel like a good scare. I was like, I'll watch a horror.
Yeah.
You know,
But then,
so
as you
it's,
say, with Vash not really liking horror, it makes it like nigh on impossible to.
yeah, it's, and again, like it goes back to the whole Game of Thrones thing. It's like we usually watch stuff together, so if we're not both interested, we usually don't watch it.
Yeah.
And she's not a fan of the horror stuff at all.
Oh, okay.
Which is going to be fun when we work on the next feature and we're like, hey, you want to watch this for feedback?
And some of the stuff that we're planning for that one is making me uncomfortable, which is super rare for me.
I don't know. It's getting me into my zen zone.
And then it's like the weirder, creepier, and darker it gets, the more Bex is like, I am at one. I am here.
One with the force.
The
The gore force.
Do you have any questions for people?
Not really. You
Let me do
kinda
like pass my question sheet, don't you?
yeah, you kind of hit on the both thing. Actually, you said that Brian Clancy found you for the Three Don'ts. Like, how did you meet Brian, or where did that connection come in?
Me and Brian have been friends since I think around 13, 14 years old. We used to hang around the same circle and everything there. There used to be this clock inside town, and all of us
Tate's
just
clock?
Tate's clock, yeah.
I used to skate with Brian at Tate's Clock.
You hung out with Tate's clock?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
When you'd be in Limerick.
When I'd be in Limerick, yeah, because.
But I guess it'd be like during the summer and the Saturdays and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh, how come I've never seen you
I
before
don't
until we
know.
started shooting
I used to be
together?
skinny. Maybe you don't recognize me.
Well, then again, I used to be like major goth then, so like
As I was pretty dark.
I need to see an old picture of you.
Yeah.
I have to.
Yeah, well.
Actually, speaking of goth and dark, she's gonna hate me for this. Vachin used to be serious goth.
I can see
we
it,
talked
though.
About, me and Fashion have had big, deep conversations.
She
about
had
that
the
stuff.
white face
Yeah.
paint with the spider web.
Yeah.
I can
thing
see
and
it though. I can
everything.
see it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Big time.
It's crazy.
She's
though.
going.
To kind of reference something you said there, how you like skirted around each other, like as in, and you know, like you knew Brian and you knew Brian, but you never met, and like me and Tubbs, your brother, talk about this a lot. The fact that me and him literally know 80% of the same people, from the same era, and we never met before the Don't Screaming.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that seems to be a common trend within the Badgers. It's almost like, do you ever see that episode of Community where Abed traces back everybody's the origin story of how they all met?
Yeah.
It's like, we actually all met before this. It was just, this was the one point where we realised we knew each other, but before that, and that to me is what I feel like Celtic Badger media is.
Yeah.
If you were to trace it back, you're like, we all skirted around each other.
Yeah.
When I knew we were
Ridiculously.
14.
Yeah. It's like,
No context needed.
No, that's it, done. I could add to that.
But like even myself and yourself, like we were the same age. We listened to the same music. We were at the
We're
same.
both in bands.
We were both in bands. We were at the same gigs.
We both went to the Offspring gig.
Yeah, like on so many occasions where it's like we could have ran into each other, but we didn't. And like when we both played music at around the same time.
And I was playing in Galway, and you were presumably possibly playing Limerick or
I would have been around Galway as well, but yeah.
Luta Black. Luta Black.
Was that your band name?
No, that was the name of the venue that we played in. It was
Oh.
basically in the upstairs in some venue in Galway, but it was the name of the gig place was Luta Black.
What was your first band name?
My first band name
Yeah, very first.
was Unnecessary Noise, which it was not my idea to name it that. And then I turned to like one of the other guys involved, and I was like, "You do realize you've given us like the easiest review to write, like Unnecessary Noise? Yes, it is." At the end, like I was like, So then we changed our name to Verfield, which that was we were Verfield for like 5 years, and everybody would ask us where the name came from, and it was never a very good story. So.
My first band name was a misheard lyric. To this day, I don't know what the original lyric was.
You told me this last
But
week.
her first band name was "She Broke My Heart, So I Broke Her Legs," which it was just a thing. Like we never played any gigs, we never did anything. We just used to get together and we used to play
Jam
stuff.
out.
And we used to jam out Murder Dolls and Blink 182.
Yeah.
Like we had a wide range. And but it was just one of those things. It was like. I don't know what song it was that I heard. I was like, that's a really funny lyric. And then I looked it up and it wasn't that at all. And then I was like, I'm going to keep that.
yeah.
That's mine now.
That's mine now.
It's mine.
I claim it as my own.
It's mine.
What's it? Kind of. You guys have both been involved in a lot of Celtic Badger shoots over the last 3 years, I guess. For each year, and I guess this extends to me and you as well, Baz, but we'll let the guests answer first because that's the polite thing to do.
I'm not polite.
Damn straight one. What would you say is, individually for you guys, what would you say is like your fondest memories from any of the shoots?
Ooh, I suppose the last shoot we did, because
Oh wow! Oh yeah!
yeah, because getting to act with on screen with Nicholas Vince, Jessica Messenger, Tubbs, Adam White, and all these people in the one fucking room was pretty mental and nerve-wracking, and trying to do an accent as well. Yeah.
The reason you got that part is because you stepped up to the challenge to do that. It was effectively, it was kind of mean of me, but at the same time I felt it was a good thing to be like.
But I like that anyway. I like
Yeah,
I'd rather
that was what I loved. You immediately did. You were like, you didn't kind of go, oh man, come on, why? You were like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll do it. Like, and you literally were sending me like voice messages every like week with like an updated voice.
Yeah.
I was like, he's fucking getting better, man. It's getting better every time I heard it.
Wasn't that bad, was it? No, but yeah, fucking
was a crazy shoot.
stuff like that ignites a fire, like. And the whole 2 nights were crazy. I loved both of them, like, so I'll never forget those 2 nights as long as I live, like.
That's
So
awesome.
that would be my favourite shoot anyway. Memory, whatever.
Bex?
I'm trying to narrow it down. Like, there's can I name just a quick few?
Go for it. We'll rattle them off.
Perfect. There was one where me and Orla were in the barn when we were shooting the Three Don'ts, and I brought 2 blankets to keep us warm, and so instead me and her decided to squeal and run around people pretending we were bats for an hour. Another time was 3 o'clock in the
I
morning.
didn't know that.
Yes. we
That
were,
was when we were filming at
Karen's?
Karen's place.
Yeah.
I remember that.
It was like we pretended to be bats, and we were squealing our way around in our own little corner for like an hour.
Should we be pretending?
Yeah, pretend we were bats. But, another time was out in, not Breath.
The house?
The house. It was
I
3 or
think
4
I
o'clock
know
in the
where you're
morning,
going with this.
and I had to like had a load of eye patches with me, like the ones you use to stick on children when they're younger and stuff like that. And I got bored, so I decided to make prosthetics out of them. And Patty came into the room with just me by myself, surrounded by so many things, with a makeshift beak and just. Sarah, you literally just looked at me, just kind of slowly left the room. It's like, and thus things will never be the same again.
I was with Aaron here on Thursday, whatever day me and Aaron came in together. We started looking through Dawn's BTS footage, and it just so happened that the clip he opened was me walking out of the room just going, I don't even know, I don't know. And you came walking out going,
I couldn't breathe.
and I was just like, that was when she had the fake beak on her nose.
I legitimately couldn't breathe for like half an hour after that.
I've never experienced anything like that because it was the look you gave.
Yeah, it's like the fear. Another one was when it was really cold. It was like really early in the morning. We were shooting out near, weirdly enough, where the the graves were dug.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, there we go. Where we were shooting out there, and I was getting, I'm covered in blood, and he just kept talking and talking and talking. Sorry, and I was just so tired, and every single time he spoke, this blood was freezing cold. I just poured on top of him. Just every single time he was like literally quivering on the floor.
Who is this?
He was quivering on the floor. So every time he spoke, it's like. He was like, I think he called me like evil at one point. So, God, yeah, that's the only 3 that popped in my head.
One that popped into my mind just because you said that one about Adam is you with poor Mark Prendergast when you were pouring the stuff onto his stomach, and Mark, who's like so nice and so like, and he was like, it's okay, do what you gotta do, it's fine, don't worry about it, it's all good. And then you like poured the blood, and he was like, you fucking bitch, I'm fucking it. He freaked out.
Yeah.
And that will make for beautiful BTS footage and bloopers.
I think what made him more annoyed was because he was so cold, and I was saying, it's okay, sweetie, it's okay, just breathe, we'll get through this.
It was like labour.
It was like labour. I was treating it like labour. So you can see him getting so much more frustrated. It's like, take me seriously.
Yeah.
So Baz.
Yeah.
That was a good one. One of my favourite memories was it was actually one of the first times that we'd met in the bar in JP's when we shot the first sequence of the Don'ts. And I just remember having that moment where like we had this whole original opening sequence
Oh yeah.
of like these smash cuts like Edgar Wright style of like bam, pint, bam, gone, bam, pint type thing. And I made the suggestion to you of like, I think we should like sneak up on these guys as they're doing it. And you were like, is it too early to say that I love you? And I was like, this is going to be a good relationship.
It's all gonna work out.
Another one that comes to mind was again when we filmed The World as I See It, and when we had the red and the anamorphics, and we were setting everything up, and it was the first shot of the whole film, and we set up the camera and like roughly this angle. It was like
This was on like the waterfront, wasn't it?
on the waterfront in Limerick, yeah. And we were like, okay, we'll take off the lens cap and we'll try and get the framing right. And we took off the lens cap, and we just had this miraculous moment of like all the out of focus areas were beautifully oval, and it's like we're really shooting anamorphic. This is really happening. And I'll just remember that moment as like, yes, it's like now we've done it.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's just funny how we ended up in that situation, because even when, as I say, when I went to Fright Fest and I met like this another DP who's worked on loads of stuff, and he's like, well, what you shoot your shorts on and stuff, and I'm like, well, our last one we used like low monomorphic, and he's like, how do you just have a set of low monomorphic lenses? And we're like, I don't know. Alright?
Yeah.
Life is interesting, that's all I can say, because we never expected to have them either.
I didn't genuinely thought I'd never get the chance to shoot true anamorphic.
It's mental.
And here we are, we've 3 shorts.
Yeah.
Shot.
4 including your appraisals.
4 including your appraisal, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we 4 shorts shot on Red Epic, or Red
Whoa.
red one with Lomo anamorphics. Like, is this real life?
Or is this just fantasy?
No. We
Oh,
get
copyright. Sorry.
copyright infringements.
I find it similar, like that it's so hard to think of like any one specific moment, but I definitely think one that I talked to you about earlier. Do I keep going?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, I have a stupidly bassy voice anyway, so it's fine. But I was on intervention. I was talking to Bex with this earlier that there was a moment in that, like, without giving too much away for spoilers and everything, but there was a big effect. Like, it was possibly one of the biggest we've done to date. Like, definitely up there with the one in Retribution. So I was like, and we knew we had like one shot at it, and I remember just being absolutely petrified because all these people had come out. Brian was petrified.
Heavily so.
And I just remember the countdown to that effect. It was like, 3, like 2, 1, and then it was like, wait, do we go 3, 2, 1, go, or do we go 1, wait, what's happening? But when we eventually did the effect, I'll never forget that. Like there was this silence permeated the air after until I was like, cut, and then it was just like, like that moment. I think those moments on shoots where you do a big effect and the whole room just reverberates with like, oh my god, that looked insane.
Because like I was the one that was part of it or whatever.
And
when I realised that it worked, it was like a wave of everything passed over me. I was like, yes!
Yeah.
Can't believe it.
I don't think there's a feeling like that on a set. I don't know, for me that's the big moment. It's like when you're like, I don't know if this is doable, I don't know if this is doable,
Yeah.
I don't know if this is doable, and then you do it and you're like, oh my god, it was, and it looks amazing.
Yeah. I have a tendency after like really great stuff like that, like to just, as soon as it happens, I just go like, and I'm like, don't fuck up now, don't fuck up now.
I see you do that, you just freeze.
Yeah, I do. I'm like, because I'm like, in that moment, it's like, I know I captured something amazing,
Yeah.
but I don't want to like stop paying attention and miss
In
the end of
case,
it because
just
it
in
was
case,
like,
like,
so.
There's a moment in one of the BTS clips from Intervention where we're doing another effect. I can't remember what one it was, or maybe it wasn't even an effect. I can't remember what it was, but you just see me in the background of this shot that Tubbs filmed on the phone, and you just see me literally go. Like, and I'm completely taken aback. Like, I'm just like holding my face. I'm like, I watched that back and was like, that must be fucking killer. Like, if I'm reacting like that, looking at the monitor, that's got to be one of the sickest shots we've ever got. But it's, for me, it's my favorite memories on sets are always those ones where you literally get that reaction from the whole crew, and everybody just suddenly kind of stops and has that moment of, we're doing something really fucking big.
It's kind of your Hail Mary shot, like as if you fuck it up, you're hours
But
behind.
even that feeling after you do something big, whether it be a big effect or whether it be a big emotional moment or whatever it is, that feeling afterwards where the whole crew kind of looks at each other and is like,
We've got
we did
something amazing here, yeah.
Like we really fucking, that is just, I think that's, as you say, you feel like a masochist or sadist doing this to yourself.
Like it's like that shot in Passenger Zero after you. It's like when something comes close to the ground a few times, And when I was sitting back watching it, I was like, holy fuck, what have I created here? Like, it's just.
I think on Passenger Zero that was interesting for me because being the other side of it, when you are the person that's behind the camera and you're asking an actor to give you a certain performance, the actor's in the performance, so they're maybe not as, like, depends, but like sometimes after the shot, everyone's like, whoop, and they're like, what happened? Like, in a daze, like,
did I
something
do it
good
right?
happen? Is everything okay? Whereas I think when you're on the other side of it, you're just immediately like, this is the best thing ever. And so I think Past Zero, I got to see that where you were all like exclaiming after this moment, and I'm like, what happened? Did we get the shot? Do we need to go again?
Yeah.
Please not again.
I'm never doing this again.
That's awesome. And because we did that, the next thing was, what was your worst memories? Problem with filmmaking is that usually they're intertwined.
The worst of times, it was the blurst of times.
God damn it, monkey. Well, for me anyway, one of the things that sticks out was when it was raining, when we were trying to film the don'ts, and we built this makeshift tarp, tarp that just
Was nearly decapitating people.
Yeah, it was just, there was just ropes dangling from trees. And I was like, my equipment is going to get so wet. It was like, I put everything back in the car, and then it didn't stop for a while. I was like, okay, let's get ready to shoot. And then it was just starting again. It's like, it's all going back in the car. After that shoot, I went home and I bought a pop-up tent just for equipment. That I'm like, I'm bringing this on every outdoor shoot from now on. But at the same time, as much as that sucked, that was pretty funny too.
It's one of those things where it sucks because you're like, we can't get the shot. Everyone's come out here for nothing. This is balls.
Yeah.
But then you watch the BTS and we're all under this tarp singing and just being ridiculous goofballs.
Yeah.
And even in those worst times, it was still like banter and fun.
Yeah,
I
I
still
think.
make a laugh at it, like.
Yeah, I think just from my perspective, I was like,
I don't want to ruin my gear.
yeah, because at the time my gear would have been pretty new.
Yeah.
And I was very conscious about it. Now I'm still conscious about it, but it's not as new. So I'm like a little more leeway there. But yeah, no, it was just like I'm in the in the woods in the middle of Limerick City. Well, in the middle of Limerick, and just like with people that I barely know in the rain with a lot of expensive equipment, and I was like, and I'm going to be the asshole who's like, we're not shooting in the rain because I can't justify it.
It's completely understandable. I had that experience much later myself, and that would probably fall under my worst. One of them was when I was shooting Adam's final year project home, and we went out to Crablow Woods to shoot a scene, and I had just got the A7S myself, and so I very much sympathise with everything you're saying, because I went out and now I had told everyone, oh look, when you use the Sony, I researched and I was like, when you use the Sony lens on it, it's weather sealed, it's cool, like you can kind of shoot in the rain for a bit and stuff, it's fine. And then after like 20 minutes I was like, and it was like heavy rain, I was like, guys, I don't like this, I don't like my brand new fucking camera in the rain for this long. And it was just, like you're saying in my head, I was like, you don't want to be that guy that's like, oh, we can't do this now. But then by a certain amount of time, I was like, no, I gotta, guys, let's go back in the bag, let's go back to my car, I can't do this. Not wrecking my brand new camera for this.
Not worth it.
No.
Yeah, that would be up there. I mean,
Live to fight another day.
I think it's funny because on the thing I was listening to the other day, they were asking people about, like, you know, have they ever lost it on set? And I mean, I've had my one, I think, one major one. Which it was funny because the guy on that said that the second you shout on a set, the second you roar, like you get angry with somebody and you roar at them, you lose all power in the situation because you're now a joke. Because it's really, the way he described it was that this guy is roaring at like somebody, and the producer's just like, what are you shouting? Like, what are you shouting for? Like, we're all here for the same purpose, same goal. What are you just, you look like a joke.
You just sound ridiculous.
Yeah. And it was, even when I did lose it on that shoot, I didn't roar at anybody, I just stormed off.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to walk away though.
Yeah.
That was one of those moments where I knew if I didn't, I might go to that point of roaring and stuff, so it was better to just step away. So do you guys have any...
Yeah.
Regan's like, I'm waiting for this.
Yeah, this
He's
is
got
what
like
we're
this.
here for.
No, I think Baz will relate to me on this one. On Passenger Zero, that bastard road that we were driving.
Oh, yeah.
The
Me
two
and
of
my
us,
shoulders remember.
the two of us were like squished into the back, I was trying to sound record, and Baz was somehow trying to like balance the red and shoot the two guys in the front, and the road was like dum da dum da dum da dum da dum da dum da dum every 2 seconds basically.
I had actually stuffed a t-shirt under my t-shirt because
Makeshift arm pad, like.
the red one didn't have a shoulder pad.
It was just
mount.
2 bars.
It was just 2 metal bars that ran through. So I stuffed a t-shirt under my. I looked like the hunchback of Notre Dame. Like I had this massive like pillow-esque thing, and every bump was just like bonk. I was like,
You ended up with a massive bruise.
Yeah, big bruises on my shoulder and stuff after it. But that's because the widest lens on that set of anamorphics is 35 millimeters, which is like the size of my head.
It's like a
It's-
rocket
it's-
launcher.
it's-
like.
It does. It legitimately looks like a rocket. It's like a weapon from Doom. Like,
Yeah.
It's like on its own is like almost 3 kilos, and then you put it on top of the red, which is like 10 pounds, which is like another 4.5, 5 kilos. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
heavy.
Not as heavy as the car that almost run over the actress, though.
Also true.
Or the,
Slap me in the face.
the slap that was before
that
that.
caused that event, yeah. But you get if you slap me, I'll run you over in my car.
Oh no, I know what you guys are about.
I've legitimately seen it. I can verify.
You know that if there's a scandal about me in years where Benny Murphy was found running over somebody, like they slapped him.
I think
Sure of it.
But I think everyone in the woods heard that slap, in fairness.
Oh man, I've been slapped by a lot of women for a lot of reasons.
You looked like you were going to cry. Like, to be honest about it.
It was so shit, babe.
Yeah, she hit you majority in the
Times, I
ear.
think. Yeah, but she also
The
did this
first
kind of
time,
triple
sure.
slap thing.
Yeah, bang, bang,
Which I was
bang.
like, what are you doing? Like, just wear it off me and go. That's great. Like, I wasn't expecting those follow-up slaps. That's where I lost focus.
Yeah.
And boy, I didn't pull the handbrake. That was good times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was probably one of your worst memories. I guess is one actor nearly killing the actress and Baz being in the back like Quasimodo with the red because it was crippling him and
Yeah.
I can understand that. And Bex.
Not getting enough attention.
That's why we haven't seen so many other Badgers in a while.
Yeah. Everyone should get Becky attention. But, Jesus, I don't even know. I guess, whenever the rain hit, whenever I fell over. Oh, wait, I know. Every single time I could think of a shoot, the ones that involved us being outside and no goddamn bathroom.
Oh yeah, they were rough.
I realized during those moments in time that nature truly hated me. Like, so, but yeah.
I kept calling. I kept
I got one for
sending it
Becky.
to voicemail.
I got one for Becky as well. I remember a moment that I shoot.
Oh,
that
shit,
she hated. We were shooting Retribution and we were up in Bunratty. We were in the folk park. You need to walk like a good 10 minutes easy, I suppose,
Yeah.
up to where the church was. But when we were finished and we were walking back, we drove it back, did we? I can't remember. You drove back. I think we had to walk back
Yeah.
through the park and Bex was with us. And I started going on about Japanese ghosts, which I know she loves.
Absolutely adorable.
And like we're walking through this dark folk park at night and I'm talking about it and you're like, I will end you. Shut up. Shut up, Henry. And I was just like, look, there's one there. And she was like, shut up.
Because I feel like-
losing her mind.
Because I knew
Yeah,
that place of
because-
spirits.
If a Japanese ghost comes to Ireland, you know they're gonna hang out in Bunratty.
Yeah, they were like,
Well, no,
"Oh,
it wasn't
I'm
even
here
that.
again."
It's because I knew
Tourist
that
ghost.
Bunratty's haunted. I know Bunratty's haunted. So it's just the fact you kept talking about ghosts. I'm like, I will see something. I will see something. I will see something. So yeah,
You
would.
walked so fast. It was amazing.
Yeah, well, it was the first time I ever walked fast, so that kind of worked.
Now we know the way to make that happen.
I'm still plotting your death to
Oh
this day.
no. Yeah, well
there-
that's cool.
The jugular
So funny.
punch was just part one.
Taste of what's to come.
Yeah.
I do love when we work with people that will punch you in the jugular, but then you're like, I can't wait to see them again.
Yeah.
It's a compliment.
There we go. Yeah.
It's the cruelest ones you miss the most.
Yeah.
I just want people to touch me.
Yeah, I just want attention, even if that is
You
being
went
punched in
there.
the jugular.
Oh no. No.
These squeaking chairs.
Yeah, and my back's a little weird.
Creaky.
I never have back problems. That's usually your thing.
I don't have back problems. I get stiff.
But that crack.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Back sack and crack.
I think I've inherited that from Vachin. She is like stuntman clicks. Like she'll stand up after sitting down. She's just like turn herself in a circle. And it's just like
Yep.
it's like what are you made of?
It's legitimately like that's like Kane Hodder-esque. Like that's what he's like. It's just like
Yeah, that's what it is. She calls it the stuntman cracks. Like when
which
you get up.
is Kane
Yeah.
Hodder's this is a bit of a generic-y thing, but I think you gotta do it whenever you do something like this, which is like, and it's always an impossible question to answer. But like, what would you consider as one of your favorite movies, or a movie that like massively influenced you, that like had a huge impact on you? I think I know yours. If I'm thinking of the one,
I'm gonna say something different.
Awesome.
Just to fuck you up.
I'm trying to think. Damn.
it's always a stupidly hard question to answer because everybody has so many films that affect them. But it's just like something that resonates with you, I guess.
Well, I'll do one that I've seen recently that
Awesome.
actually really impacted me was Arrival.
Sweet.
I thought that movie was phenomenal. Like, it's very rare that you get like a big budget alien movie that isn't necessarily focused on
dumb.
the aliens, and it's not this massive world destruction. It's like these aliens are here, but we don't know why, and trying to build that dialogue and figure out what it is. And have you seen Arrival?
I haven't seen it yet, no.
You should. I think you'd really enjoy it.
It's another one of those ones where I'm like, it's not that I haven't seen it for any other reason than I just keep going like, I'm gonna watch that, and then something happens. And it sounds like a film I'd love because I love films where you take a genre, right? So you take sci-fi, you take horror, you take whatever, and you don't make that the central thing about the film. You make it a drama or a character study. And then you have this stuff that's kind of influencing it just on the fringe almost.
It's almost a background.
Like I love that stuff.
I loved it. It's one of the few films, that and Ex Machina. It's one of the few films that I would put Ex Machina on par with Arrival.
I gotta check it out.
That's this. I walked out of. They're two of the most recent films that I've literally walked out of the cinema, and all I could say was that was phenomenal. I loved everything about it.
I just remember when I saw Ex Machina, it just blew my freaking mind. I just did not expect that much from it.
Yeah, and it wasn't very well advertised in comparison to other movies that came out around the same time. So I kept seeing it, and like on the side of a bus or something. I was like, oh, I really wanted to see that. And then I remember I missed it. I seen it in the cinema, but I think it was like on the last week. There was like nobody there.
Oh, cool.
And I walked out of the cinema, and I was like,
they're the best times.
Yeah.
I walked out of the cinema and I was like, that was phenomenal. And it was like, I was already looking up the DVD release date at that point. It was like, I needed to
That's
own
when
it.
you know, though. Yeah, it's when you see a film and you're like, literally already like, I want to pre-order.
I want to
like,
see that now again.
Yeah, like that's when you know you've got something really special.
Yeah.
And to kind of, I'll jump on actually next, sure, if like, funnily enough, I'm going to do the exact same and go for something more recent that I saw. That had a massive impact on me. And funnily enough, we saw it together. Was Neon Demon when we saw it in Cannes.
Oh yeah.
And I just remember one of my favourite things about that was that we sat there in this massive theatre
with Elle Fanning.
With Elle Fanning and Nicholas Winding Refn and Mads Mikkelsen, and we were just sitting there though watching this film, and I remember being you remember how pumped it was because you guys were the ones that put me in that seat, which was it was a mind-blowing thing for me. And I remember when you watch something that you've been that pumped for, and then for the longest time throughout that film I was like, I don't know if I like this. Is this good? I don't know. Is it any good? I can't really gauge. I don't. And right afterwards we both were like sitting in the seats and you were like, will we watch that? Or whatever you said. And I was like, yeah. And you were like, what do you think? And I was like, I don't know. And then legitimately we did not stop talking. We left there to go to Morrison's Bar, and as we walked up we did not talk about anything else.
Yeah, it was like a 15-20 minute walk like.
And by the time we got to Morrison's I remember just being like, no, I must have loved that movie. I must have, because I would not still be going on about little things within it.
Yeah.
I would have just been like walked away from it and forgotten about it. And then I watched it again when it came out on Amazon, and I was like, oh, it was that whole, it changed my perception of, I'm very dialogue heavy and very narrative driven in that sense. And then watching Neon Demon I was like, oh, you can do this all visual almost, you know. And I think that really influenced some of the shorts we did around that time and stuff as well.
Yeah, I remember at the time like being under that cave in Bridgetown, and you coming up and you're like, have you seen the trailer for this Neon Demon? It's like, we need to go see this film when it comes out. And it happened to be on in Cannes that year when we were going. And like that, I remember asking you, "Is like, so what'd you think of that?" And you're like, "I don't know."
Yeah.
And then we started talking about it, and we were like, "Well, what is the Neon Demon?" And then we had all these like things. It's like, "Oh, but that could mean this, and that could mean this," and then it was like all of a sudden we were like, "We've been talking about this for like 20 minutes straight." It's
I'm pretty sure we
it's like,
enjoyed it.
whether we liked it or not, it definitely left an impact.
Yeah.
And then the like after like a while in Morrison's, we were still talking about it, and you were like, "Yeah, no, I definitely liked it. It just I don't think it was what I was expecting."
Yeah, but that's what Refn does really well, is that he packages something up as one thing, and you think that's what you're getting. Like with Valhalla Rising, he packages it up as a Viking movie, but it's not a Viking movie, like not at all. And that's why people go into it and they're all like, "Oh, this is gonna be cool," and then they're like, "I hated that film; it was boring." But it's like Refn, he just messes with you.
Yeah.
He takes that whole idea of a genre like of Vikings, and then instead of having it just be Vikings, which is already a TV show, so go watch that. Like if you want Vikings murdering each other and all that stuff. And Valhalla Rising is like a study about religion and like how religion impacted these old religions and how when it came in, I find that for me seeing that stuff is it helps me as a writer, I think, to kind of explore stuff rather than just on the nose metaphors that are like really obvious. Because the best of the Neon Demon is we spent 20 minutes discussing, could this have been the Neon Demon? Could that have been the Neon Demon? Could this have been? And then literally,
Is she the Neon
Demon? And 4 months later, when I watched it again on Amazon, I was like, oh, LA is the Neon Demon. Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, I did the same thing when I was rewatching the match, and I was like, "Oh, it's super obvious."
Yeah, it's like the most non-hidden thing. It's like, yeah, it's LA,
Yeah.
fucking Egypt.
Oof, I guess one film that would be classed one of my favorite of all time or whatever would be 13.
Whoa.
13 would be one of
Awesome.
my favorite films of all time.
It's the second time this week I've talked to somebody about 13 and I haven't seen it.
You know
like
what age
11
I saw?
years.
I saw it when I was 12, and it made me terrified of being a teenager.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I also think it had a hand in what kind of teenager I turned out to be. It's like-
But it's a gripping film. Like,
it's an amazing film. Me and my friend Jess, to this day, we still talk about it. And every single time I come across a friend who hasn't actually seen it, I sit them down and force them to watch it. They thank me every single time. I was like,
Tight the chair, Bex. I'll watch it. You don't have to do this.
you need to go to the preteen trauma I went through. But I even showed it to Orla there recently, and she fell in love with it. It's one of
But
my.
it's a hard watch. Like,
It is.
That's what me and Chris were talking. Chris that I work with in Galway, he showed me a list of DVDs he was selling, and one of them was 13, and he was like, "Have you ever seen 13?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "That film is fucking. It's a hard watch." Like,
It's still one of my favorite
it
films
is
this day.
amazing.
Like, I think that's kind of like,
Are you gonna say shape the person you became?
yeah. Yeah, man.
Now that you mention it.
Yeah. Well, I became as like emotionally messed up
As the kids in that.
as the kids in that, so yeah, it probably shaped me.
Like after that movie, she'd have gone out with Marilyn Manson. Like, you know.
Yeah. But I just love the way it was shot. Like,
Yeah.
the dialogue was still very kind of like early 2000s teen stuff like that, but it's gripping. It's just, I loved the color scheme throughout the entire film, how it just gradually got more blue and more kind of less saturated as it went on and everything, and I absolutely adored it. And I don't know, yeah, it just, the outfit, the characters themselves would really be people I knew when I was really kind of just getting into the new crowds and everything. They're going hanging out inside town. They would be the exact same of the people that I knew. So that I think is the reason why when I actually went to my teenage years, it's kind of like, oh my god, this is actually reality. It's like, this is terrifying. Because I would hang around with like people who tried to be like edgelords. But yeah, no, it was it's still one of my favorite films to this date, and yeah.
I need to look into. I can't remember who directed 13 and what they've done after and stuff, because that was like, I'd love to check out who it was and what they've done, because that was. I remember I was working in Extravision when it came out, and it was like we'd get those exclusive Extravision DVDs that like nobody else got. There was only one real chain in Ireland, which was Extravision, so it was kind of pointless having exclusive DVD rentals. But I remember, we had like when that came out, even though it wasn't a big budget thing, it wasn't a huge mainstream offering, but I don't think it got a cinema release in Ireland.
I think it was straight DVD. Yep.
And because of that, they literally like dedicated like a whole wall to it in Exhibition. I was like, I guess I'll watch that then, because it's like all I'm seeing staring back at me. And I just remember, like bringing it home and being like, it's like a teen drama about two girls. I don't know, I watch it and like two it on. And I just remember being like gripped to my chair, like tears rolling down my face. Like, I don't want to leave the house anymore.
It's
calling my cousin who was like, "You're Agent Mary, are you okay? Don't go into town, don't hang around with anybody, alright?"
Stop hanging around with Becky.
I don't know, it really hit me. It was a powerful ass film.
And plus, this is like one of the best scenes I've ever seen in film was the aerosol scene.
Oh, God.
It's like, I can hear my brain cells popping. Whop, whop. And it was the best scene ever. Sorry, yeah.
Right.
Oh god, Transformers 5, no, joke. Yeah, that's the end of the podcast. But yeah, I'm gonna go for a pretty generic one actually, because when I was 13, 14, I saw Gladiator in the cinema, and that opened my eyes a little bit, because it's not like, I know it's a pretty standard Hollywood blockbuster, but at the root of it, it's like a guy who has everything, thinks he's going to be the fucking bee's knees, doesn't have to answer to anybody, and all of a sudden rug's pulled off from under him. He's got fucking nothing then, and he still works his way back up. I know it's very,
there's a reason it won as many awards as it did.
yeah,
Really,
To put it bluntly, like,
it's amazing, like, but I don't know, it always spoke to me.
Yeah.
Like Russell Crowe, like it was the first time like I really appreciated an actor's performance, if that makes sense, because before, like, I was younger, I watched films, and be like, oh yeah, that was cool.
yeah,
Forget
it
about
didn't
it.
go, oh my god, that
It was,
person, like,
it made me think,
yeah.
like, and watching him acting in it, I was like, I actually fucking believed, like, that is fucking awesome, like, and even when I was in school and stuff, like, the Romans and all that kind of stuff, really had a
Intrigued you.
massive interest in it, like, so
Yeah.
seeing that, like, and I still haven't gotten to Rome, by the way, fuck's sake.
Soon, buddy, soon.
But yeah,
You should go. It's cool.
yeah, I am gonna go next year.
Rome's cool.
I like, I think with Gladiator, it was one of those amazing films that when it came out, across generations, it was beloved. Like, as in, my dad was like, we gotta watch this movie, like, and we watched it, and like, me and my dad would very, very rarely have the same taste in films. Like, we share a lot of same taste in like TV shows and stuff. We both have a very similar sense of humor when it comes to like British TV shows and stuff. But when we watched Gladiator, it was like we were both like, whoa, that was unbelievable.
It was like, you know, I can never spell it, Joaquin Phoenix or whatever.
Yeah.
He wasn't the standard bad guy you see in films.
Yeah.
He was a kind of douchey fucking shitty
sleazy as all
sneaky
hell.
fucker, like,
Yeah.
that was crushing on his sister basically. Which
And then-
even then I thought, back then I was like, ugh. No, I love it in Game of Thrones.
He's got that new film out that looks unbelievable. That Joaquin Phoenix is in, it's winning awards left, right, and centre. It's kind of a dark thriller. It looks unreal. I can't think of the name of it, but I think it won the audience award at Cannes. It won
Oh,
a
wow.
bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I've heard of that actually. I can't think of the name.
He's
of
got
it.
like a big beard and it.
Yeah.
It looks really.
The trailer only came out recently.
It did. It literally
Yeah.
came out like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I watched it and I was like, I can't remember. It's a long name. It's like one of those like. Wish you were
Sentence
still
names.
here kind of thing, or something like that.
Yeah.
But I remember just watching that and being like, this dude, like, he was always a great actor, but like this feels like it's going to be that movie where you're like, whoa, he's like,
top level, like.
yeah, he's upped his game.
Did you see that meme from her when it's like Joaquin Phoenix's head makes its own face, the forehead makes its own face? Have you seen
No,
that?
I haven't.
I think I may have seen that
It's
where
like
he frowns. or
it's
something.
yeah, it's the scene where he's like lying down in the bed and he's like frowning, but if you turn the
So
other
it's got a
way
face.
and you move in, it makes its own frowny face.
Thank you for telling me about this.
Oh my god, it's the funniest thing ever.
Her is
check
an
that out.
amazing film as well, actually.
I have never seen her.
Her is really, really good. He's a really good actor. Like.
Even in Signs, that fucking M. Night Shyamalan,
Shyamalan.
Shyamalan, he was really good in that as well.
I-
Despite the movie not being exactly stellar.
Yeah,
Anyway.
like, when you think about it, I know he'd probably been in a lot of other stuff, but Gladiator was the one where he became like a household. name.
Really known, yeah.
He
Commodus.
was just
Such a
horrible.
bastard.
That's
Yeah.
totally. I wouldn't be.
No, I
like,
wouldn't be ashamed of Gladiators at all.
Like, it's funny because I'm not a huge Russell Crowe fan in general. I can take him or leave him.
Best part of Man of Steel.
I was just gonna say, I was like, if Tubbs was here,
Yeah.
Because Man of Steel would be brought
Gotta
up.
get him on for that. Like
Yeah.
basically, there's sets of boxing gloves over there, just me and Dubs.
I already had them.
Man
on
of Steel. Let's end this.
Yeah.
No.
You take the boxing gloves.
But yeah, Russell Crowe, I do think he's a really good actor, but sometimes he grates on me and sometimes he doesn't. And yeah, I think Gladiator was one of my first times really seeing him, and I was like, this guy's amazing.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, I saw Master and Commander and was like, oh,
No, that wasn't.
and then I saw Robin Hood and I was like, oh god, I'm out. I'm
A
done.
Beautiful Mind.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Don't watch the new Dracula or whatever it's fucking called.
New
The
Dracula.
Mummy, sorry.
Dude,
The new Mummy, they're all terrible fucking films. Even Russell Crowe is terrible in it.
well,
Is that part of a cinematic universe now? They're
It's
tying
going to
in-
die before on its arse before it ever gets up.
Was the Mummy supposed to start it?
Okay.
Or,
Well, Dracula Untold was supposed to
Dracula
start it.
Untold was meant to start it, and then Dracula Untold flopped, so they went, no, Mummy's gonna start it. And now Mummy is flopped. So unless they're like, I think
It's like they did a photo shoot now.
they're
It's
doing
like Johnny Depp and
Bride of Frankenstein before Frankenstein? Which just doesn't
Smacks
make
of
any
DC.
sense. It does. I'm not even gonna like lie here. It does.
There's only two of them like universes I'm excited about, and that's the monster one and the MCU, obviously. So
Stephen King universe.
Yeah.
Woo.
After last week,
Year of
anyway. Yeah.
King. Year of King.
apparently in Dark Tower there's like a Pennywise.
There's a couple of references.
Yeah. I didn't see Dark Tower.
I haven't either.
The trailer for Gerald's game looks really good, and it's the dude that did Ouija 2, Origin of
Ouija.
Evil.
Ouija board.
Yeah, that like I can't think of his name right now, but he's a really
Dave.
good director. Dave, I think you're right. Is it David F. Sandberg? No, Michael. I can't remember. But he's a really good director. So I'd like to check that out. And Annabelle Creation's been really cool too. So
Oh, he did that? Yeah.
no,
it's-
that was David F. Sandberg.
Oh yeah. Because I was like, if he did, then it was definitely David.
Yeah, no. I was like, it's definitely no. He did Annabelle Creation.
Yeah. Oh damn! I thought I inadvertently got the right answer by just saying Dave.
Just saying David randomly. Yeah. So
You guys don't mind if I have a snack?
yes.
Yeah, we hitting 6 o'clock.
Are we?
Oh, we're hitting 5.
It's
Well-
just blood sugar's going up.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are you gonna be like chomping into the mic?
No, they turn
Do it
it.
for the crack.
Oh no.
Oh,
You're like
no.
Get your
gums.
Fredo on.
No.
Fredos
I
are the
have to
best,
edit
to be
this.
fair.
Just think of the Gremlins. Your favourite.
You were amming.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I was trying to think of something to say so that Brian would stop.
That's
Stop
fair.
now.
Yeah, but then I blanked.
What do you guys got coming up? I love saying that as if like I don't know. It's really,
As with the movie biz as a whole, you know, there's a lot of stuff we can't talk about.
that felt amazing to do. What are you guys working at? Please enlighten me.
You're right, actually.
I brought a random object.
Oh yeah, we got to do that. So it's now time for the most exciting part of the podcast. Is everybody ready? Bex is trying to get it down. Because we don't have like fancy soundboards or anything like that, so we're just. So it's time for
Random object! Oh, it's things? I said random objects.
That's even better. I prefer
That
that.
is so much better.
Yeah.
It's like random the objects. Majestic. I'm wondering, with that left there, is there anybody that'll be able to see it on the cameras? Just be like, I see what's coming next.
Probably.
Cool, sweet.
Zoom and enhance.
Who wants to present their? I just did what you told Brian. not to
No,
do at
don't
the start
clap,
of the
you
thing.
asshole.
Brian's like, yes.
Didn't do it first.
I think, Brian, as a guest, you should go first.
You snake.
Yeah.
I gotta give shout out credit to Aaron Walsh for coming up with random things.
Okay,
As a
before I
segment.
reveal it, does anyone have an inkling? Or a guess of what
I
it
have
might be?
no clue. I know it's
Pretty-
You said it's
not,
movie related.
It's not dirty, and it's movie related.
Is it some kind of pop vinyl?
You might be close.
It's a movie prop.
No.
Okay.
Okay, so my random object is this Marvel Legends
Oh, yours.
Blade figure.
Oh, nice.
And
Cool.
I brought this because
Can I take it out of the box?
I ain't doing that when I go home, alright? I was saving it for today.
Special moment.
Can I see? It's a
Nice.
wicked blade.
I bought that because, you know, I grew up on the 90s X-Men shows and Spider-Man shows and what have you, and after those I kind of lost track of the comic stuff, but then I saw the movie Blade, and that brought back all of that love. So when I saw that, I was like, I have to fucking have that.
Yeah. The Blade movies are so good.
And
I gotta ask a question about
Netflix
this.
Daredevils and shit are on the back of it as
Yeah,
well.
but that's what I gotta ask a question about this, which is that like that's the Netflix Daredevil, the Netflix Punisher, the Netflix Elektra, the Netflix Jessica Jones, and then they've got Blade and Bullseye. And I know that this is like potentially like not official. or
Yeah,
anything,
I've been thinking that too.
but I'm like, come on, like
And that build a figure man thing as well.
Swamp Thing. Or is
Man
it-
Thing.
Is it Man Thing?
Swamp
Oh,
Thing
Swamp
is
Thing's
DC.
DC. Yeah, Man Thing and Swamp Thing are so like those.
I know, yeah. Did you see that like sci-fi movie, like sci-fi channel type Man Thing movie that's out there?
No.
It's
That
fucking
one from like 2005.
yeah.
That was like the
Like
first.
Lionsgate or something did it.
That was like a Marvel movie before
Yeah.
they got like big.
Yeah. Just cheesy.
first of the universe.
Z-list horror.
Yeah.
Like,
What's it out? No, that's got because like the Bullseye looks bizarre. Jesus, I know he's like classic Bullseye, but
yeah.
he looks weird.
What do you mean? He looks like Colin Farrell.
No, that's he looks. He just looks creepy. I don't know. That smile is weird, man.
Is that mustache?
That's pretty cool.
Handlebar. It's a handlebar mustache.
Oh, that's
So
yeah.
I take it that's a recent purchase.
Yep.
A lot of the fan theories that went out when they like the idea of Jamie Foxx playing Blade really got me excited. I'm not gonna lie.
I heard it and then it was like, and then I saw like the
The
photoshopped
mock-up.
image
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, I'm on board.
Yeah,
I'm on board.
Very cool.
it does feel like a natural fit for the Netflix universe.
Is it too obvious though, Jamie Foxx for Blade? It
Look
seems like pure fan. Like I know
Look
it
at
is fan
even
cast.
that toy that you have to me looks like the mock-up poster image
Yeah.
with the hair and stuff.
Like the other head that's with it is
Yeah.
very Wesley Snipes, but the one that's on him now
Yeah.
is very Jamie Foxx. Yeah.
if you go look, like I was like that as well. I was like, I don't know,
Yeah,
Jamie
it's
Foxx is a
too
bit
obvious.
old or something. Like I don't know if it'll work. And then I saw the fan mock-up poster and I was like, I am on board.
100% sold.
Yeah, he's
It's like when you
look
first
great.
heard about Bernthal as the Punisher and people made mock-ups, you were like, yes.
Yeah, it's
It's
like,
just his intensity straight away
Yeah.
from Walking Dead. I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
he is fucking Frank
Well,
Castle.
like as a general rule, whoever the fuck is doing casting at Marvel of like
Needs to be sacked from Iron Fist.
no, I disagree. I think Finn Jones can work. I just think he just had a
He
lot
was
of
a
poor
lot
direction.
better in Defenders.
Yeah, he was a lot better in Defenders.
I thought Colleen Wing was great.
Yeah, I thought she was great. Yeah, I've loved everybody that Marvel has picked casting wise.
Even your one that's Misty Knight, is it?
Yeah.
fucking
she's
brilliant,
great. Yeah, I can't fault them really on anyone that they've picked.
Like boggling my mind to try. One that it's not one that actually is bad. It's just that because we had, it's one where there was a comparison available at the same time. Was Aaron Johnson as Quicksilver?
Yeah.
Because we had the what's his name, Evan Peters.
Yeah.
And he was so good.
Yeah.
He was the best thing about Days of Future Past.
Oh yeah, hands down.
Like so, I think because you had him, Aaron Johnson did nothing wrong as Quicksilver.
Yeah.
It was just like Evan Peters.
But like
is so good.
with him, like I've seen him in Godzilla be shit as well. But last week I watched a film. I watched it because John Cena was in it. I wanted to see how bad he was. But Aaron Johnson was the lead in it, and he was fucking brilliant in it. It was like a war kind of thing. Have you ever seen Enemy at the Gates years ago?
Yeah.
It's like that, but
set in Afghanistan?
in Iraq or whatever
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
And
That sounds interesting.
John Cena is in it, and he gets like shot 2 minutes into it.
Spoilers
on
for
the
the
wall.
first 2 minutes.
It's called The Wall, anyway.
It's in the trailer. It's fine.
The Wall, is that not the one with Matt Damon?
No.
Where they
That's
Green
the
Zone.
Chinese
the archers have to take on the
Oh,
demons
that's that
or whatever.
crappy fucking. Yeah. I turned it off after 20 minutes.
I-
Whitewashing.
I didn't watch.
Lexington.
I brought two things, but I wasn't sure.
Are they random things?
Yes.
Cool.
And they were.
As long as they're random.
We have to make
Oh my god. I already love whatever this
Final
is.
Fantasy 10.
Is it a pink chocobo?
No. Her name is Biyomon. She's from Digimon.
Oh,
Is it
class.
Fox? Yeah.
I thought Pokemon first when I saw it. So I wouldn't
No,
know.
Digimon. The better one. Yeah, I said it. It's like- yeah, she's my favorite toy. I've had this exact one since I was 7 years old.
Wow.
Fucking
Yeah.
class.
That is awesome.
The worst that happened to her is her arm was ripping off. But like, yeah, she is 7 years old. It's like,
It's so funny because
That's
when you had said originally, it's like, oh, bring a random object for the podcast. I immediately went to, like, I have a teddy bear.
I have the same. I
Yeah.
was going to
Yeah.
bring one as well.
I called him Tim. He was like a little puppy with like these massive sad eyes that I originally bought for my sister because an opportunity came up to go to England, but I ended up missing like her graduation or something like that. So I bought her this puppy with these really sad eyes. It was like, I'm going to go everywhere in London. I'm going to do like Timmy's photo journal of London. And then I got really attached to Timmy and I bought her another one on the way home. But that was when you said random thing, I was like, oh, they'll never expect that. So,
oh yeah, no, you guys expect my little Biyomon.
no.
That's
So like,
class.
were you like really into Digimon growing up?
I was obsessed with Digimon. My imaginary friend
Did
was
you
Sora.
fight friends at school so who were like, Pokemon's better? Were you like, I will
No,
end your life?
me and my friend. Well, to be honest though, I was. Okay. To be honest, give an example. I was social outcast from second class until 5th year. So no, I did not fight with other people in Pokemon. But like what was it? Me and Jess would spend nearly every single like yard break, recess, and everything there, playing Digimon, where we pretended to fight Kokomon from the movie and stuff like that, and like we all had our own Digimon to command. And my imaginary friend was Sora. I had a little bit of an obsession. A little bit. My imaginary friend was Sora, like from the TV show.
Nice.
And when I found out that they actually had like the third season practically, well, like the one of like the third generation of the lads, like Tai and Sora and everything, there coming back from Digimon Tri or something like that, I cried. I cried for half an hour.
I was gonna ask, did you play any of the newer ones? Like Cyber Sleuth, Digimon Cyber Sleuth? and stuff?
No, I just couldn't get into those. I mean, I know it's kind of like, oh, if you're a real Digimon fan, how come you didn't watch the rest? It's just, yeah, the original
Oh, no,
one's my favorite.
Yeah, no, it's a new game.
I've heard of it, yeah, but I
Cyber
haven't
Sleuth.
actually played it yet.
Cyber Sleuth's apparently amazing. Everything I've read about it has been like Digimon's massive return to form, like
Yeah,
brilliant.
I've heard really good things about it. Actually, sorry, I got confused in the game.
Yeah.
I've actually heard really, really good things about it, and it looks beautiful.
Yeah,
But,
it does.
Yeah.
And apparently it's quite funny and it's quite tongue-in-cheek and kind of playful.
Yeah.
So I'd love to, yeah, it's one I've been meaning to check out again. I love JRPGs so much, but I just don't have time for them anymore. And it's a shame, they're my favourite genre. Like,
I hope you get time, because Persona 5 is waiting for you,
I
man.
hate you.
I know you hate me so much.
When I went into college yesterday, the guy, one of the lads that sits like directly in front of me, his 2 desktop wallpapers in Persona 5, and I was just like, I hate you so
Yeah, it's like the rage.
much. Like, have you
building.
played it? He's like, oh, I finished it twice. I was like, I want to kill you.
Oh,
I hate you twice as much.
Yeah.
and also, yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
10.
Is that 10 too?
10 and 10 2, the HD
Oh, it's the
remaster.
HD remaster, yeah.
Yeah, those 2 games, I was insanely obsessed with. Like, I think Jess was probably worried at one point.
No. She was never that obsessed with Final Fantasy X because as long as I've known you've never raved about them continuously to me.
No, never. Like, I've never really brought it up until now. Like,
Never.
no, like, well, to be honest though,
I heard never.
yeah, this is just new information you guys know about me, and you will accept that and bask in it. But yeah, no, I used to get like, clearly enough, it kind of scared me, the fact I was kind of like between reality and the game. It was kind of that the part was lost a few times.
The lines
It's-
were blurring.
The lines were really fucking blurring. Like, ooh.
It's fine. I'll
Sorry.
fix it in post.
But yeah, it's one of my favorite ones. And yeah, so those are my 2 random objects.
When I first played 10, I was really unsure because like I was a huge 7, 9 fan, and when I played 10, it was like much more linear. I was like, oh no, they ruined Final Fantasy and whatever. And all my other mates got like super into it, who were into JRPGs, and they were like, you gotta play it, man, you gotta play more of it, give it a chance. And I yet again, like that story earlier about waiting ages before going back to something. I waited ages, and then when I went back and played it, I was like, I think around the time X2 came out on PS2, I was like, oh my god, this is freaking amazing.
Yep.
Oh my god.
It's brilliant, like once you actually properly get into it and everything there. And I think it's the reason why it's still classed as my favorite, because that was my introduction to the Final Fantasy world. Because I actually didn't play like the second game I played, which is one that you were probably 8 was the second one I played.
My whole
with me and you've had discussions on that, which I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not like it.
Yeah.
I know it.
Final
I love
Fantasy VII, I played up until the end of the first disc, and my second disc was scratched. So,
Harsh.
so I never played anything beyond that.
That's such a shame. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's like, well, that was the game that made me realize how games could have like such a strong narrative. Because before that, it was always really good gameplay or whatever. Like Zelda, I'm a huge Zelda fan, but they were always gameplay driven. They weren't story driven. And then when I played Final Fantasy VII, I was like, holy shit, you can have really deep characters and stuff. But yeah, and then Final Fantasy VIII came along and destroyed my life. I mean, I loved it.
Yeah, you loved
Great
it
game.
every second of it.
It was Metal Gear Solid for me.
Yeah.
The story, fucking good. I know it's
two?
No, the very first one, the PS1.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was fucking
you loved
amazing
it.
story.
Oh,
and
God.
like, yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were saying like that was the one that I hated.
Oh,
And I was like,
no.
Metal Gear Solid 1 or 2, because 2 story is a bit off the wall. Like,
No, I loved them all up till 4. Then 4 jumped the shark. Pretty much.
Jump the shark.
jump the shark. You got it's
Hashtag Fonzie reference. Okay, well, my random object was actually a Christmas present from my sister. Because she knows my sense of humor and she thought it'd be really funny.
Is that? I know what that is already.
What is it?
Is it a fart gun from Minions?
Oh no.
Damn right it is.
Yes.
Oh no.
I wanted to buy one of them for Piper at Christmas.
My sister bought me one for to put it into context. I'm 31, Piper is 6, and we have the similar taste in humor.
That's why you get along so well.
But my sister
Bring that out, Piper, and you will just play for hours.
my sister bought this for me, and I thought this was hilarious. It was like, because I'm a big fan of like gifts, and I was like, genuinely, if anything can make someone laugh,
Yeah.
it's like that is a perfect gift in my opinion. And she got this for me, and I may or may not, I don't know if I can still do it, but there used to be like a song that if you fired it at the right time, and it was around the time that Snapchat just came out, so my sister sent this Snapchat to everyone, and it was like apparently the greatest thing that my friends had seen. So yeah, I don't know, it's like
That's Kanye's new song.
That's all his songs.
Yeah, that's off.
That's beautiful.
That's off.
yeah, it
Christmas.
was glorious. And
That is so amazing.
it was like, it was Christmas Eve and whatever when I went out, and like obviously I was just doing that and I was like raving and the Christmas lights were flashing. Yeah, I'm sure my sister still has the video somewhere.
That's epic.
She has to show us.
That's beautiful.
So all of us.
Can I see it?
Yeah, go for it.
I feel like we should have this on all episodes of the podcast.
Yeah.
So like somebody's like, so then I was like, that was when I realized. Is there a problem? No, keep going, tell your story. So then I was.
I hate to make it worse every time like a darker conversation comes in. That's where she be used.
Yeah, this is the flag. It's like somebody's like, and then they were all dead.
It's like, wait,
Here's
I
our fart of the
can
week.
still hear faint sounds of life.
My God, guys, this is beautiful.
And like that, like I said, I was thinking about the teddy, and I
It's
was
so
like,
crap, and mine is
Ah,
actually.
fun.
Mine's actually outside because it was too big to bring in. And
yeah,
not
nobody can hear you now that you've walked away.
I know, right?
Hey, what's that, Paddy?
Jesus, Patty, keep it in. My God.
What kind of accent is that?
I have no idea.
My
I was
God.
kind of
I
going
don't-
for
I
something,
don't
but it
need
didn't
one of
form
those.
into anything.
I don't need one of those.
Mine's
Oh, good.
really crappy by comparison to you guys' one. But it is random, I guess.
Okay.
So that's kind of cool. It's actually a poster.
Poster.
A
Poster.
poster. It's actually a poster.
Booster.
Yeah, I've told you. Well, I presume you know. I used to be a video game developer.
Really?
Apparently, I don't remember it, but yeah, and we developed a bunch of games, and one of the games was called Revolting Youth. But a guy named Tom Matthews did the art for it, and he did this. This was the original concept art mock-up.
Oh,
for the
nice.
game.
That is wicked.
And
That's very cool.
I had no reference in my mind about what this game was going to be like. I'd said, oh, there's a guy called Cole, there's a guy called Badger, that's this dude,
Hey.
and there's a girl called Kamiko. And I'd given a brief idea of what the characters were, and Tom, who was an intern at Limerick School of Art and Design at the time, just came back and was like this, and I was like, I hate talented people, I love them, but Jesus Christ, like, that's incredible. Like, and this has been missing for 4 years, I guess, and then when we were clearing out the office to move the stuff in here, Kathy was like, oh, what's this? And I was like, oh, it's the original concept art for Revolt Youth. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The way I know it's really early Revolting Youth is that we changed the name of Revolting Youth to Revolting with an apostrophe. So
To keep it with them hip hop kids.
Yeah.
Kids.
With the
Keep
hip
it with
kids.
the kiddos.
The hip.
But I do love the fact that even back then I wanted to put badgers and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, that's
badgers
brilliant.
Forever.
That's class.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
You win, Paddy.
No, God, not at all. The fart gun wins, man. Or Digimon. Like fart gun and Digimon are up there.
That's so cool.
Tom is a really cool artist.
That's so badass.
He's like a beautiful.
What's
Joe,
he doing
actually.
these days?
He's I think he's moved to Belfast to work on a game with a guy up there. But he has a really cool Tumblr page where he's on called Ninja Monkey Brain.
Do kids still use Tumblr?
I think
use
artists and stuff too.
I use Tumblr, yeah.
And Wingard, when he was on a podcast, was like, my Tumblr is probably going to get, or if any agent or anybody ever checked my Tumblr, I would probably never work in the industry again. And I was like, immediately like, Adam Wingard's Tumblr. And I was like, this is loads of weird porn. Awesome. I think I left a comment on the podcast being like, Adam, please never stop Tumblring.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Tom, Ninja. If you search Ninja Monkey Brain, all one word, on Google, you'll find loads of Tom stuff, and he's done some really cool stuff. But yeah,
That's cool. That's
it's
very
cool that I
good.
found it. I'm just gonna stick it up in here or something
Definitely, yeah.
as a reminder
Where you are, where you're
that
going.
I used to be a game dev, but I was always thinking of Badgers, so that's cool.
And now you are a game dev and you work with Badgers.
Calling me a game dev now is definitely liberal. Whoa.
Whoa. Whoa.
Actually, me and Bex are hoping to develop a game soon.
Yeah?
Yeah, I get to draw the guts.
We're both into weird Japanese horror stuff, so it makes
Hentai
sense.
ghosts.
Hentai.
Nope.
Not hentai ghosts.
Nope.
Although I am writing a draft of that at the moment. But anyway. Yeah.
Legit.
Yes.
Oh god.
God,
As a
wait.
short. As a short.
Short.
Short is too long.
Yeah. Even a thought process is too long.
I've gotten kind of, I hope the way I've gone with it is quite artistic.
Oh dear.
Artistic and flexible are two different things.
Jesus Christ.
When O'Regan says Jesus Christ, you've gone pretty far.
Yeah.
Basin trailer.
How are we doing time wise?
I don't know.
20
What time
past.
are we at?
We're 5:15.
Cool, we can start winding down.
Yeah.
Yeah, genuinely, I know we joked about it. I joked about it a while ago, but genuinely, like, what are you guys up to? What are you working on? And stuff. Like, are you working on anything new?
Yeah, I'm writing a thing or two maybe. I may have showed you one of the things.
Oh, okay.
I'm still like, no, see,
How enthralling for all the people.
Yeah.
no,
So secret things, right?
no, I'm working on a new short film and
What kind of genre is it?
horror drama kind of,
Okay.
more like a slasher than anything I've done previously.
Has that been influenced by you getting the Friday the 13th game?
No.
I'm joking, but
No,
yeah.
it's actually I tried with a different crew to make this short 2 years ago. Becky was on that shoot. My brother Stephen was in the shoot as well, and for whatever reason, didn't get made properly. And I won't go into that. But yeah, I said for months, years, even Tubbs annoying the bollocks out of me to make it again. I was like, no, it's not. It's dead. It's leave it there. So a couple of months back, I was writing something else, I was like, this is very similar. So I went back and looked at the original draft of what I did and kind of mismatched the two of them and came out with this abomination. So, like, I was doing really well in it, and then I had to go on holidays. No, I'd like to go on holidays. to be honest.
I like the way, I had to go on holidays. It was so cruel.
It kind of killed my momentum a bit, so it's trying to get back into it now and actually finishing it, because I'm pretty near the end of it now, I think.
Yeah,
I did go back and redraft once already, but I think from what I have now, I think it's pretty solid. It's just finishing up properly now.
Yeah, that
And
kind of
then-
polishing stage.
Yeah, getting it into pre-production. Yeah, but that's what I'm doing at the moment.
Cool. That's awesome.
I'm working on a lot of stuff in post.
Me too. Weird.
Intervention, Pressure of Life, doing some DVD commentaries and stuff for
The Don'ts.
the Don'ts and Retribution and a few bits and bobs like that, and beginning work on the first feature that I'm going to direct,
The art.
Yeah.
coming 2020.
Nice.
It's nice to leave leeway just in case. Some wiggle room.
Well, it's because you're going to do the prequel first, right?
Yeah.
Fuck.
You're gonna work to the 2020 schedule for that, and then you'll announce the prequel to come out in like 2018.
Yeah, I don't want to do the thing where I announce the release date and then move it back. You know,
back,
I'd rather be like, this project is so far advanced I can actually move the release date forward. So if I aim for 2020, no, I don't know. I'd like to maybe
There's
consider.
a quote we used when we first put up the very first teaser trailer for The Don'ts, which was, "It's coming when it's good and ready."
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what she said.
You had to get one of them in there, Regan.
I deserved it.
You got
You
bait
did.
with it. You got bait with it, did you, man?
You did. Fucking bait, but did you?
Bex, you working on some stuff? I know, as I say, me and Bex are talking about trying to put together a horror game,
Yes, that's gonna be really awesome. We should get around to that.
because we're both influenced by like Corpse Party.
Yeah, and of course, Party is one of my favorite games ever.
Yeah.
Even though it's so weird, there's the dialogue in that game is so weird.
For
Hard.
you?
It's actually traumatizing.
It'd be the first time you've ever heard people talk about butt cream. There we go. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Baz is like, nah,
No.
I've heard this before.
Been there.
Yeah.
Done that.
I should probably mention that like you mentioned it, but my second short as a director, a lot shorter, is almost near its finished as well.
The finish line.
Pressure of Life. It's nothing like my last short.
That's cool.
It was made originally for like a competition that you made something for as well, Ghosts,
Yeah.
and it's been on the back burner for a while, so I'm just looking to be happy to get it finished now.
Finally cut it loose.
Yeah, and see what we're gonna do with
Actually,
it.
really looking forward to seeing it, because I haven't. Like, I was on set for that. What was I doing? BTS video?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But, like, it's one of those things. I quite like being detached from certain shoots.
and that
Like
was
with Past Zero, I didn't see it till it was pretty much going out in the
Yeah.
Celtic Badger channel. Which was honestly, genuinely, actually, that was a bit rough. Because it was a performance, so I was like, I freaking hope I did alright in this. Fingers crossed. It wasn't like, where you're just in the background doing something. I was like, oh God, please say this isn't total rubbish. That I'm not crap.
No.
But I know you wouldn't have.
no, you fucking nailed it. Like,
But it's one of those things where I think being a director as well, you learn that scale of understanding that, like, if you did do rubbish, you'd be told it.
yeah, I think that helped a lot of being a director as well, being an actor first,
Yeah,
because you know both sides of it now. Like,
that's it. Yeah, and that's why I think
I
wanted
wouldn't
to do
ask
it.
an actor to do anything I wouldn't do myself. Like,
Yeah.
and vice
I
versa.
would.
Of course you would.
Yeah.
Just watch you break them.
Yeah.
But
I
then
mean-
again, I'd do anything. So
So yeah, your bar is quite low for that.
I wouldn't ask an actor to do anything that I wouldn't be afraid to ask O'Regan to do.
yes.
That's awesome though. And so where can people expect to see like that one?
When we're finished, there's still a decision to be made whether to go festival route or YouTube route or Patreon route or something like that.
Yeah.
That's to be confirmed.
So effectively, you might be able to see it at festivals. You might be able to see it on
You'll
YouTube.
be able to see
or
it
you might be able to
somewhere.
see it somewhere.
You will see it eventually.
If you want to see it, we'll get it to it.
Yeah,
Just
awesome.
fucking I kid.
I guess I do kind of have two announcements to make
Woo!
about Indie Cork.
Oh, Yerks, yeah.
A short film that I directed called Doors is going to have its world premiere in Indie Cork. Woo! Which is pretty cool because it was a crew from Dublin and stuff like that we'd worked with. So pretty exciting to get that out. And then I can announce it now because it's went on the Facebook page. But another feature film that I worked with Fiach from Iris and a few other shorts that we've worked on is the lead actor in, called Blue Dawn, directed by Naj Foley. That's also getting its world premiere at Indie Cork this year. So
Woo!
it's gonna be a fun week.
Yeah, geez, that's gonna be pretty amazing to have your a short and a feature premiering the same week,
Yeah.
the same festival. That's pretty
It's
friggin' bad.
Pretty crazy. And I was talking to Mikey yesterday, and I realized that Doors, that's my first festival for something that I've directed, because everything else was either a 48-hour film competition or it was something for the YouTube channel. I'd never went festival routes with any of the stuff that I'd done.
You were saying that to
It was
us,
you.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't remember
Yeah.
who I was saying it to.
Yeah, because we'd say Please Forgive Me and Fade to Black were like 48 hours.
Please Forgive Me was my road reel.
My road reel and
Iris was 48 hours.
Yeah,
that was co-directed, and Fade to Black was 48 hours as well. So they all kind of
got released because
Yeah. So
This
yeah,
is your first kind of festival run film.
yeah.
Awesome.
So I was like, oh, that's really cool. Actually, I didn't.
You
Just kind of dawned on me.
You remind me of something.
Blue Dawn.
Yes, he got one in. He got a real Regan for him. Yes. Something that me and Tubbs talked about the other day. It was just something that it came from a conversation I had with Aaron here, where me and Aaron were talking about like different CBM shorts, and Aaron was like, "You know what's my favorite? Like genuine one of my favorite CBM shorts?" And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Framed." And I was like, yes, like Frames cool. And he was like, no, he was like, when you think about it, like the fact that it was legitimately like a throwaway project almost. It was like, we're just doing this for Screen Bench and it's just gonna be a bit of crack. It's only 6 hours, 8 hours, whatever. Get in, shoot it, not really dwell on it, and just, it's done. And then it went on to have like, when then Tubbs brought up, he was like, and then it had like the longest festival run of any of the shorts we've done to date and stuff. And it was just this kind of flippant, we'll just do this little silly fun thing.
Yeah.
And it's funny because then I rewatched Framed in 4K on my 4K TV for the first time in ages, and was like, Jesus Christ, this looks unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it all came up, this whole conversation kind of was because Lisa, Tubbs's missus, was like, she was like, you always have this really annoying Limerick accent in everything you're in. And he was like, no, I don't, I didn't have it in this or that or whatever. And then he was like, what about Framed? And I was like, you had it.
Yeah.
Framed.
Yeah, definitely.
Most definitely.
You think that would scare me when?
We'll go, yeah.
I actually remember when you came to me with Framed originally.
Feared.
No, it was Framed by the time I seen it.
Christ.
But I remember when you came to me and you were like, you were like, have a read of the script and let me know what you think. And I was like, oh, it's really cool, I really like it. And you were like, thinking about giving the lead to Tubbs. It was like, I think he's really pushed himself. I think he's really shown that he's dedicated to do it, and I want to give him a shot. And I was like, sounds good to me. It was like, if I just want to make cool shit with cool people, so I'm game. And I just thought that was really cool. And now we can't get rid of Tubbs.
Thanks for that, because it was really Becky that introduced me to him. And Tubbs is definitely a future guest for this podcast. There's no doubt.
But we must
about
always
that.
remember that I'm the cooler sibling. Admit it, Paddy.
He said yes. He mimed.
You're obviously the cooler sibling.
Cool.
You're just, I don't know, like it's just
what?
Maybe not the more depraved one.
It's just like I have a thing with your brother.
Yeah, that's your fucking relationship thing. He's like, you still can class me as cool.
You're infinitely cooler.
Thank you. There we go.
That's what it comes down to.
Yep.
So there's a couple of just a couple of final shout out things. We've kind of taken a break from the Celtic Badger Media YouTube channel for a bit, but one thing I will say is that if you are listening to this podcast and you haven't really checked out the Badger stuff before, if you head to youtube.com/Celtic Badger Media, there is loads of stuff to check out. Literally so much that when people are like, oh, I'd like to check out your work, and I send them, they're like, oh dude, this is so much stuff. Like,
yeah.
Are you serious? There is loads there. There's Someone and Someone's, which are a comedy sketch series. There's a bunch of shorts, including ones you've heard us referencing here today. There's Frame, Passenger Zero, The World as I See It, Coppa, Iris. There's loads of Please Forgive Me,
Music videos.
Rewind, which?
Music videos.
Music videos. There's Hard Drinks.
Oh god.
There's a bunch of stuff. There's all the behind the scenes, making ofs, blooper reels. The blooper reels are so worth it.
Oh.
But if you're not familiar with that stuff, definitely check out youtube.com/Celtic Badger Media and have a check, like, subscribe, and all that jazz. And we're hoping that in the near future we'll be back pushing content out, you know, on a not as regular basis, because it was really good to do a year and a half of like constant.
We
content.
did 10 solid months of a short film every month.
Yeah,
which is pretty good to be able to produce stuff at that level.
Crazy, like how much we've
and that was a short film, a behind the scenes, a Someone and Someone, and either a blooper reel or another sketch or something. If depending on how many Wednesdays there were in a month.
That was a confusing one. Alright, it was like, there's 5 Wednesdays this month.
Yeah, but like to do that consistently for 10 months was, I think, something to be super proud of.
Definitely. And as I say, even if we get back to the point where we're doing slightly less regular content, you know, one of the things we've really set our goals for is to ensure the quality control the bar.
Yeah. And
not that I ever felt we really didn't go that far with what we put out, but just ensuring that we can, you know, we put the right amount of pre-production, regular production, and post-production.
Regular production.
I'll have a side of regular production, please.
Can I have one regular production?
Can I have a large production?
And our first 1,000 likes.
Can't afford a large production.
Our first 1,000 likes gets a member of CPM, of your choice, limbs in a box.
We've already hit 1,000 likes.
2,000 then.
1 million. And you get 5.
If I'm the millionth, like if I unlike it now and we do get to 1 million, and then
you have to chop up your own arm.
Oh,
and hit yourself with it.
Whoever I want.
No, you have to get rid of your own. Your part. Yes.
We should beat them with that.
We try and cheat the system cheats you.
That's what my girlfriend used to say.
Oh dear.
Oh no, Paz is gonna cry. So, guys, thanks for being on our first podcast. Have you guys got anything you'd like to add or anything?
No.
Tank.
You.
Tank. Just tank.
Watch it, share it, do stuff with it.
Yeah. Like, make me famous. Notice my face. Put me in billboards.
I wasn't going to say
Notice me stand by.
Notice me stand by.
Notice me stand by. Notice me.
So
thanks, guys.
I've been Paddy.
I've been Barry.
And this has been
Badger Banter.
Yards.
And scene. Yeah, we need like the Wayne's World music.
Badger.
Excellent.
Woo!